Hi, everyone. How's it going?
Good.
Oh, wait, forgot that my camera wasn't on. All right, here we are for another wonderful next to last day of Illustrator. I am shocked how quickly time is flying. I was looking at the calendar today going, no, it can't be 2 weeks to spring break. And I noticed because on my credit classes, I have to give them exams, and I could not believe that next week is exam week. I was like, no, it's not. It's too soon.
Time flies when we're having fun and we're busy,
And we're busy.
especially you.
Well, you know, I had I have some good news. Maybe many of you already have gone through it or not, or care not to, but I have my vaccine appointment for tomorrow. Finally, educators are finally getting it.
Wow, that's
Educator.
fantastic.
So finally getting that, and it made me think, okay, so maybe I can leave out my little shell, my little tiny space. Somehow or another might become a bit wider. And I made a mistake. I thought it was yesterday. I went all the way there yesterday to get the appointment, and that was like my first outing in years. And it was by the Cottage Hospital. So I ended up going to Costco. And I hadn't been in Costco probably in a year because my husband goes grocery shopping or does whatever. He goes to Trader Joe's. He goes, so I've been really not going out at all. And it felt like I had a whole outing, you know, like going grocery shopping. It's like, woohoo. So now I'm going again tomorrow to actually get the shot. So, but it made me think more about what's going to happen when we all get together again. And how soon it'll be. And I'm, reading what the administration is saying at this point. They're thinking that the summer is still going to be virtual, and they're going to start considering 40% of the courses they're planning right now for the fall to be online. Or to be in person. And I don't know what that means, who they're choosing, what it'll mean. There's courses that truly have to be in person, like, chemistry, things where they're doing, things with their hands. I don't know how soon it'll come to us and whether we'll be included or not. So I have no idea. On the other hand, if things get better and everyone's vaccinated and we can all just be together again, hopefully we'll be doing both. I am liking doing this on Zoom, and I'm also missing the classes. So I'm hoping that maybe there will be both options in the future, right? We need to see if we have enough students for both options, because if you put it on Zoom and no one comes, or if you put it in person and half the people come to one or to the other, I don't know how it'll work. But go ahead and sign into the chat. As people are signing in, I'm letting people in while I'm chit-chatting. I always do a little bit of this at the beginning while people are coming in. This is a great time for you guys if you have something to share, something you did, something you have questions about. Many of you are sending me your material that you do during the week, so thank you. I am seeing, and by the way, 99% of you guys are showing me the things that you're doing in class that I showed you how to do. My hope, and I'm going to remind people in the future, is to stretch it and do a little bit more. Like use what I've taught you to do something beyond the flower or the shapes that I've been showing you, just to practice and see. And it doesn't need to be good or pretty or awesome to show me. It's more like, oh, look what I tried. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, right? But it's using it outside of the same context that I taught you, where you're really going to learn and where you really have questions. So before I continue, I'm not seeing anyone else coming in, so I don't know what's happening. Small class today. Mayuri said she couldn't get in. She's not here yet, so hopefully that'll be fixed. 2 people had problems with their system. Make sure that meanwhile you're connecting to your Illustrator, to VDI, those of you who need VDI, to your programs. Be connecting as I speak. I have something to share with you, which is that in the next week is our final Illustrator class. And then on, then we have 1 week break, spring break, where I'm sure everyone's going to go crazy and go to the beach and do all the spring break stuff that all of us stuck inside our home are doing. And then a new kind of second part of the session starts, and I'm going to be teaching. I'm still teaching the digital design techniques class that some of you are in, and I'll be teaching another Photoshop and another Illustrator class. So if anyone is interested, oh, there's some people arriving. If anyone is interested in that, I'll put the information. I'm going to see if I have the information for the, I don't know how many more spots are left. The Illustrator was getting quite full, but in case it has any more spots, I'm putting it in the chat.
Indiana, is
That's
the
information of the, yeah.
is the Photoshop also via Zoom online, or will it be in person? Do you know?
Oh, no, no, it's all online right
Virtual
now.
still?
Spring, everything is virtual. And in fact, summer, everything is virtual still. So we're talking about fall to see whether they're gonna let us do anything in person. I mean, if everything is great and all the numbers go down completely, maybe they'll change their mind about summer, but right now they're assuming that the summer is all virtual still. And spring for sure.
You don't have
Yeah.
any Photoshop like at this time of the day? Because those times
Well,
don't work for me.
I know this is the time I had a Photoshop class from 4 to 6:30 Tuesday, Thursdays, but it was scheduled incorrectly because on Tuesdays I teach my credit class. So I had to give it to Bruce. So Bruce is teaching a Photoshop at this time, starting after spring. And since I couldn't teach at that time, we set another one up, which is this Photoshop that I just set up there, which is, oh, that is incorrect. The time, hold on. The time I gave you is incorrect. We changed it because people who were taking the class that I should have taught from 4 to 6, that now Bruce is going to teach, couldn't take it. So we shifted, hold on, to they were in Photoshop. It occurred to someone to say, oh, then we can't take yours. So now it's going to be 12:30 to 3:40. So this information that I gave you there is wrong, and it's actually 12 to 3:40. So hold on, 12 to 3:40, because the class that I was gonna teach is 4 to 6:30 or something like that. So if you try to, some people in Photoshop wanted to register to mine, but it overlapped 50 minutes with the one that now Bruce took. And if you classes overlap, they can't take them. So for people who wanted to sign up for both, we moved this one to 12 to 3:40. So the second schedule is right. I can't delete the from the chat that thing, even if it's wrong. So it's the second one, the Photoshop 12 to 3:40 on Tuesdays, and the Illustrator Friday mornings. Okay, that I'll be teaching starting after the spring break. So if anyone wants to take those, the Illustrator is pretty full. I haven't checked in a while. The Photoshop just got set up in the catalogs right now. It's very empty. It's only going to be filled with people I tell, because it's not in any catalog. It's nowhere. So if you're interested in taking the Photoshop class, it needs to have 17 people to run. So if you think you can make it, even sometimes miss it or whatever, please sign up to that one, because I'm going to be emailing all my students about it to have people sign up. And hopefully it'll be a bunch of the people who've already taken it. So hopefully it'll be a slightly more advanced version of Photoshop. But anyway.
Do we still have access to Illustrator even if we're not taking your class?
Yeah, and as long as you're a student and you can get on VDI, you'll have access to everything. And the same material that I've been giving you will still be there, and the videos will still be there. I won't take your access to the videos off, so you can still watch the recordings. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I don't see the point. I'm going to take the videos off, so you have to take the next class. It doesn't make sense. So, yeah. But my goal when I say we're going to take Illustrator again is, or Photoshop again, if you've already taken it, I'm going to be working on different assignments, and like I changed the files that we use. And so even if you learn a similar concept, we'll do it with a different different material. And so there's always more to explore. Anyway, so, all right,
I
let's
do
get
have a
going.
question, Diana.
Yeah.
Have you used Illustrator in the iPad, on the iPad, and how you like it?
No, actually, I don't. And you know what? My kids have iPads from school that I should try it because I don't. It never occurs to me to use it. I don't see the point. I have a computer or a phone. The whole iPad concept, which some people love, has never been a thing for me. And yet a lot of people are beginning to use it because, of course, on a phone, you can't do the small stuff. So an iPad used to have really basic programs, but now, yeah, Photoshop and Illustrator and all these programs are becoming quite capable on the iPad. So no, I should spend some time. Maybe this summer I'll open one of the pads and start figuring out what they are like, if I can download them on the school. You know, when you're school here, you get an iPad in high school, in elementary school, whatever, school kids. So I can try that out but they're very restricted as to what they can do. So I don't know if I can download Illustrator on it, but I could get on VDI and use this, but it's not the same as the actual iPad Illustrator. One thing I do know though, because the phone also has, you have Photoshop, you have Illustrator, you have all these for the phone or for the pads. They've usually been way less capable than the one that we're having in front of us on a laptop or on a desktop, but they're getting much better. They're getting more and more capable. So you can do a lot of editing on your photos with Photoshop now on your phone, and thus I assume on the iPad as well. So yeah, one of these days, if it becomes important enough, I might look into it and then start adding it to the curriculum of what I teach. But yeah. Oh, sorry, no experience with it right now. Okay, so hopefully by now you're all in your files. And oh, I actually want to open this to see more, but it's the other way around. I have to make it smaller because you guys have smaller screens. So what I'm going to do next is I have a couple of things more that I want to teach you guys. I want to create a couple of complete projects, but one big thing that's still missing is talking about tracing. And just to clarify, is any one of you who's here, maybe Matt, did any one of you guys take Illustrator the last time I taught it in the
Yes,
fall?
I did.
Aldi? Yeah, because I usually try to use different images, and I didn't change my images from the fall to this fall much. And I just wanted to use something different.
I don't mind because I was planning to use one of my own anyway. So
okay, good. Thank you. Because I'm like, oh, I hate. I change images much easier, but my problem is that once you guys download them, I don't want to have you guys keep down. When I'm at school, I keep bringing in new images all the time. But here I notice that once you download them, I don't want to have you download everything 3 times. So then when I want to change something, I'm kind of stuck with what we've already got.
If I can chime in, Deanna, I'm completely fine with reusing whatever image we used last time. To me, it just reinforces what I've learned and what's slipped away,
okay.
Since then.
All right. Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So here's what I want us to do. We're going to be using this photo JPEG here. And this is the idea. I've been telling you how you create things in Illustrator from scratch. But what if you draw something and then want it brought into Illustrator, or if you have a photograph and you want to bring it into Illustrator, right? A photograph into Illustrator that you're going to use just as a photo can stay as a photo. So over here we have an example. I'm going to just click one time. Let's see, another- Hello. Nothing's clicking. I don't know what's happening when nothing's clicking. Hello. Wow. Do you see my mouse moving? I can't get anything to click. Let me stop sharing in case the resources are using it a lot. Huh.
It's crazy. I could see your mouse.
Yeah, I'm trying to click on these files
your
and
cursor.
nothing. I'm clicking on everything and nothing's happening. Let me
Hmm.
refresh the screen. There you go. That helped. That worked. Okay, let me share again. I don't know why it was stuck there, but there you go. Okay, share my screen again. And oh, by the way, please make sure that if you've had a chance, I was informed today again that, well, maybe I already told you that you guys in your pipeline, you should have got an evaluation for the class or a survey for the class. So anyway, please make sure to answer to that. All right, so now it's working. So I'm going to click and not double click, but just show you. This is a way. Can you see it without opening it up?
Yes.
No, not really. Let me double click and open it up because it doesn't really get any bigger. So I've double clicked on that file here. And let me go ahead and make it bigger. This is a photograph used as a photograph. That's all it is. It's not going to be anything else. If you look at the layers and you open the layers, you'll notice that we have, I'm kind of noticing that I didn't bring my glasses to the screen, which means, let me see, are these going to work? Yeah, these work. Let me clean them up a bit. I have some extra glasses around here. My reading glasses here, but my screen is further away. I need these big ones. Let's try. Ha, yes. And finally, I see. All right, so here you see 3 layers. And this is an example when I talk to you about how to use layers in Illustrator. Many times I'm going to turn all these little eyeballs off. And basically, there's the header. This is a web page. So you would have an this isn't a this is a mock-up, okay, where you're trying to set where things are going to be or used, but this isn't the actual thing. If you were to click on this button, there is nothing to click on. This is actually just a drawing. But here you have a header. Turn this one off. Here you have the footer, which is these little icons. And then here you have the body. So now everything here could have been done in Illustrator or has been done in Illustrator except for the body. Why? Because the body is a photograph. And if you look at it closely, if you get a little bit bigger, do you see how it's kind of pixelated? Can you tell? Like, go ahead and do Control plus,
Yeah.
plus, plus.
Yeah,
See
very-
how when you get up closer, it's pixelated? All right. So for those of you who are in my digital design techniques class, we're actually going to work with this file more because this is a combination of how and where to build things. But I just wanted to bring it in here to you guys. This is using a photograph as a photograph. All you did is drop it in, bring it in, you place an image and you use it and you want it to be a photograph, and that's all it is. And so if we want to make this bigger, if we want to make this guy have a red hat or whatever, we have to open this photo in Photoshop, give him a red hat, and then bring it in here again. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot change this photograph in Illustrator. You cannot do anything that's going to be, you know, give him clouds or whatever. You're erase all these trails to make it look like he's in the wilderness or whatever. You can't do any of that in Illustrator. You can only bring it in as a photograph. But if what you want to do is actually use a photograph to make it into an illustration, then you can do that in Illustrator. So we're not gonna work right now here further than other, if you want to explore it. But basically, these are just little illustrations, right? That's all these are, with little paths and stuff like that. I'm gonna close this up. I don't want to have too many things open right now. Save changes. I'm gonna say no. Let's go back to Bridge and imagine this photo, the one that has this lady. Don't double click it. If you double click this photo, what program do you think will open?
Illustrator.
Nope, it's a JPEG. So
Photoshop.
a program, Photoshop. The program to dedicate to photograph, to work with photos is Photoshop, and Bridge is part of Adobe. If you click on a JPEG, Photoshop will open. So we're not going to double click this image, but I'm going to hold my space bar down, click on it one time and hold your, not hold your down, click your space bar. And then it gets big for us to see the photo. Okay. And then when you click the space bar again, it gets smaller. So that's all we're doing here. We're looking at this, and clearly it is a photograph, right? If I want this photograph to be turned into an illustration, then I have to place this photo inside of Illustrator. We're going to do that now. And then we're going to do a process called image trace. Was it Matt? Was it, who was asking us about image trace last week? I believe it was you, right,
That
Matt?
was me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I've got my sample. If we ever get to a point of kind of what I
Okay.
want to try to manage.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Now press your space bar again so that the photograph goes down, and then see this other one here, this half butterfly. We're going to click on that one. And this is actually a scan of a butterfly created with a black marker on a piece of recycled paper. Okay, people coming in. All right, let me let them in. There you go. Okay, so this is actually an example of you picking up your pen or pencil or marker and drawing something, a cartoon. A couple of classes ago, I had professional cartoonist who is one of the most famous cartoonists in Brazil, who was taking my class, and he had to change his way of work. He was being told by everyone he had to go digital. So he was taking my class here to learn how to do what he does. And so he would still draw it by hand, but then he would do what we're going to do today, scan it in. And so you have to either take a photograph of your art or you need to scan it, turn it into a JPEG, turn it into a file that's made of pixels. Okay, which would be, for example, a JPEG or a TIFF or something that you can either reproduce as a photograph. You have to have a really good thing, or a scanner. Okay, so now I'm going to hold the space bar again for it to get smaller. So what we're going to do is we're going to create these two images that are photographs. This is a drawing, but now it's a TIFFs, okay? How to photoplay.tif. That's a typical format that scanners scan into as TIFFs. We don't really use TIFFs for almost anything else anymore. The scanners still tend to save things as TIFFs. And the JPEG, which is what the camera tends to send it as. We're going to bring these two into Photoshop, into Illustrator, and use the trace feature, okay, to turn them into illustrations. Now, what's the point of that is that in Photoshop, I am limited to printing this photo to whatever size it's made. Now, without taking you through the whole conversation of resolution, if you're in my digital design techniques class, you'll learn much more about it, or in my Photoshop classes, but this photograph can only be a certain size. In this case, if I look over here, it's telling me it can be, 10 by 15. Great. Well, what if I want to make a poster of her? I mean, 10 by 15 is pretty big. This is a very high resolution image already, but what if I was trying to make a poster? If I am limited to being 10 by 15 in Photoshop, I cannot make it any bigger. There is no way I can make it any bigger without losing quality. That's the limitation of a photo taken with a camera. This, on the other hand, this little half butterfly, again, I'm going to click on it one time. If I read over here, cannot be made any bigger than, well, 600 ppi, like 8 by 12 ish. Okay. It can be an 8 by 12. So again, you're kind of have that. And what if this is going to be painted on the side of a building? Or as I always say, I always see those trucks going by in the city with fresh produce, and you see this beautiful apple, or this beautiful photos of fresh and clean vegetables on it or stuff. You can't take a photograph that lets you put an apple this big on the side of the truck. But what you can do is you can turn it into an illustration. So let's open Illustrator. We're not going to open one of these files in Illustrator. We have to first open Illustrator. Okay. So go to your Illustrator program, and we're going to create a new file. And we're not going to go with our typical 5 by 5. Our model proportions was more like tall and taller than wider. So we're going to change the height to, let's say, 7 by 5. I don't know if it'll be proportionally good enough, but 7 by 5. Now, whatever I choose to do here is just proportional. It doesn't matter if I make it 5 by 7, because, in Photoshop, in Illustrator, we can later change that to 25 by 45 or 95 by whatever. It doesn't matter, because once we turn this photograph into illustration, it can become any size I want. So we don't need any more artboards. So let's just go ahead and change this to just one, or I can go to this little arrow here and make it have be one artboard, just to learn how to change a few of these things. These are things that I use all the time in the digital design techniques class. You'll learn much more about bleed and all that kind of stuff. But let's just really quickly say that right now, bleed is just, if you're going to print something, trying to find samples. I always have samples next to me, but I don't. Okay, so here's actually work from someone. It's someone who's in our class. So this is a photograph that goes to the edge, right? In this, oh God, this little blur filter I have doesn't let things go. But anyway, you can see what I mean, right? That the photograph goes to the edge. So if this has to be printed, you can't make a document where the edge finishes right here. You actually have to have the photograph overlap a little bit outwards, and then they're going to cut a little bit off. That way you don't have a chance of maybe ending up with a little weird edge. Okay, so that extra piece of photo that's supposed to be bigger than the document, that's called the bleed. Okay, I'm not going to get too technical here. This, on the other hand, has white around the photos, so this would not need a bleed around it. So if any of all that sounds interesting, join us in our digital design technique class. So we don't need a bleed for this. We're going to leave white around the photograph. Okay, so that's why this bleed in Illustrator is usually 0 unless you're going to print from it. Right, so let's say create. And when we want to bring in a photograph, we have to say file, place. Okay, file, place. And then we need to go find it. Now, those of you who are at home, you would have to go navigate wherever you are. If you are in VDI like me, you would go to Google Drive, shared drives, Illustrator shared drive, class files. Now, by now, all of this should be, a path you guys are accustomed to, but just in case, here it is: Google Drive, shared drives, Illustrator shared drive, class files. And we're going to go to just the word photo. That word photo, that's that photo that we're talking about. Okay, and as you can see, it's a JPEG file. All right, now, don't change anything here, but just notice that this says link is what's clicked on it. And that's good. That's what we want. But I just wanted to show you that because I'll be telling you a little more about what a link is and stuff like that. So that's a good choice. So don't change it. And then
If
let's
my-
just say place.
If my link isn't checked, should I check it?
Yes, but I'm surprised because that's the
You know what?
default.
It's not highlighted. I can't.
I'm gonna share your screen.
Uh-huh.
That's
Deanna? Or Deanna?
yes.
Real quick, would you mind just mentioning the document you chose to place or create again? Just the parameters, the dimensions of it, repeating that.
5x7. So 5 by 7. We
Thank
used to have 5x5s and I just added a couple inches to the bottom.
Okay.
So
It-
Rhonda, yeah, there it is.
Came through.
It is
was
click.
just,
Yeah,
yeah,
perfect.
I'm okay.
All right, now don't do anything with your mouse yet. Once we link, wait, once you link to it, let me share my screen again. There we go. It's funny because whenever you guys tell me what the mistake is and I know where we're at, I run through all of the possible things that could have gone wrong. And when I can't talk you through it, I need to see it, right? Because that's when I tell you to share. But yeah, sometimes it just takes a bit. Okay, so here's this photo. As you can see, it's at the tip of my mouse. And there's, do you guys remember what I told you about what size this photo was when I showed it to you in Bridge? Don't go to Bridge, just watch. I don't want to. Remember I told you when I clicked on this photo, I said that this photo could be about 10 by 16 or something like that. And I kind of pointed to this number here. Not because of the resolution or whatever, that's what I said it could be. All right. So if you remember that number, this document here was made 5 by 7, right? So it's much smaller, isn't it? So I'm going to do command minus to show you something. If I bring in this photograph and I know how big it is, if I just put wherever I put my mouse is going to be the top left corner of it. So I'm going to go ahead and then just click one time. Look what happens when I just click. A couple of you guys in the digital design techniques class of mine the other day, I showed you this exact same thing in InDesign. Okay, we kind of finished the class on Friday. I just clicked and here it is. This photograph is about, oh, let's turn on the rulers. I'm noticing the rulers are not available. Let's go to view, rulers, show rulers, or Control R. I always want to see the rulers, so I just leave them on all the time. So, so here we go. We have a photograph that's about, like I said, about, there it is, about 10 or 11 by 16-ish. Okay. So that's because all I did was a single click. That photo comes in to the size it's been created at in Photoshop. So if in Photoshop it had been created as a, 25 by 90 or whatever, even if it's a different resolution, it would have come in as big as that. Now that's way, way bigger than we need it. So let's go ahead and delete that. I'm going to go ahead and make my Control or Command 0 to fill my screen again. And then we're going to do File, Place again. Find that photo again. And this time, instead of single clicking, what we're going to do is we're going to put our mouse at the top of the page somewhere. It doesn't need to be exactly top because there's a lot of white around her. And I'm going to just click and drag. Don't just click. I'm going to click and drag until I get to almost the bottom of the page. I'm going to leave some space around it and then let go. And now the photo came in at the size that I want it to come in. Does that make sense? All the differences between clicking or clicking and dragging.
Diana, I'm kind of stuck.
Yes.
Importing. Yeah, I'm having a hard time getting into Bridge from
Mhm.
Illustrator on my laptop. Could
Okay.
I screen share with you or?
Of course.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Screen share. And I want to do Are you?
Okay.
you
Yeah,
see
I'm
it?
here. So basically go down to bridge, not from here, but from the dock. So go down to where you see the BR and the dock, way at the bottom of your screen, way at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You went to bring in the image.
Yeah, I got to do
Go to
file,
file place,
place, right?
place.
So
Yeah,
I
there
do
it is.
that, and I've not gone this route before. in
Oh,
Bridge.
you don't know. You don't go into Bridge. From
Oh.
Illustrator, you go straight to your files. So where do you have your files? Do you have them in downloads, on the documents and folders? Where did you put your folder with all of the,
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know what you're saying.
so where are they?
Illustrator, here it is. Okay.
Okay, Illustrator second
I was
class.
trying to get into Bridge.
But no,
That-
these are the ones that you're making. So where do you have the ones that you downloaded? Oh, there it is, one down, Illustrator. Let's see that. There they are, and then go down to photo. Nope, these are something else. These
Yeah,
are all the photos
that-
that you've been making.
That's probably from the first class.
Yeah,
Not sure. Let's see.
do you have them in downloads maybe?
I've been doing so much eBay lately. It's buried in a bunch of eBay stuff, but could be.
As long as you have any JPEG, any photograph. Do you know how to reach a photograph of yours? Just bring in any of
Oh,
your
sure.
photographs.
Yeah. I could find a photograph. Let's see. Let's see if I cleaned out my downloads. I could do a saddlebag.
There you go.
I could do that.
Okay,
Not that interesting, but
whatever.
how about
It's
I do
it's a photo.
a Ducati seat passenger?
All right, but you need to access this through your, yeah, you need this one, you need to go and have it be as a placed image. So close this,
Oh, that's right.
because this isn't letting you place it. And now, yeah, so through this file, this place, go find wherever you had that Ducati image. No, that didn't need to change. File place. You just still need to go in and find
Oh,
it.
Yeah.
Do you have it on your desktop? Do you have it?
Downloads. Yeah.
I mean, there you have a JPEG. Okay, any of these JPEGs.
There's one of my
Something
t-shirts.
that's more like a thing would be easier for you to get more out of the class.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard. Like that. There, use that. Use that.
Use that. Okay. Yeah, because we got to do
It's
so.
it's a
Place
thing.
now.
Yeah. Mhm.
And now I will.
Click and drag. Now,
Okay.
the only thing is, this is a good point, guys, for you guys to learn. Yeah, go ahead and go proportionally. That's as far as your photo will go. One thing we don't know, because we didn't read the information about this photo through Bridge before, we don't know if now he's made it the right size or bigger. So actually a good idea. Can you do Controls or Command Z, since you're on a Mac, Command Z? Notice that, oh, it's not, it doesn't stay there. Go and pick it up again. It'll take you straight to where that was, so it'll be quick. So now you can,
Where was that darn thing?
since we, oh, I guess I said it would be easy, but I forgot that you had to find it.
There it is.
There it is. So stop for a minute. Don't say anything yet. Oh, you don't have it set up for that. Sometimes you can read some of the information of the file here. Like already you can see what size it is or not, but you don't have that information
Is that
available.
set up in preferences? I should have that set up. Right?
Yeah, so
Okay,
here you could
okay.
have been able to find how big it is or not. But since it's not available, then go ahead and say place. And first, go
Yeah,
ahead and say place.
sure.
And then the first time, just click it, just to see how big it is, because otherwise you have no idea. Yeah, it's huge. Okay, see that? The thing is, it could have been something that he had brought in from the internet, in which case it would be too small, and trying to stretch it to a 5x7 would ruin it. Here's what I was trying to say. If you don't know, if you don't have Bridge to see how big the photo is, this is a good idea to find out the quality and the size of that image, because you can make it smaller like we did for the model, but you shouldn't make it bigger. So if that photo had been smaller, he should have not made it fill the page, but clearly it's bigger. So go ahead and bring it in one more time, or you can resize this one if you want. if you just go and do control minus and get all the way to the, make it all really tiny, and then you can get to the handles.
There you go.
Command minus. Now
Gotcha.
hold down the shift key
Oh, sorry.
to keep it proportional.
Okay.
And then you can grab the corner and drag it in all the way in to make it as, yeah,
Is that good?
yeah. And now you can do controller command 0 to fill your screen. Okay, see what he did there to resize it? Okay, so you have to do it proportionally. Okay, so
to find the original size again, you click twice, double click? No.
no, the original size, ideally, you begin to learn how to use Bridge to find that kind of information, right? So like
Okay.
Bridge, when you click on something, it tells you the information. But if you don't have Bridge, many times, even in the Finder, you have information about the photo. In the moment of placing, it's harder to find that photo, that information. You already either need to know it or not. So what I said as a quick way around it is just click. And then it opens up to its biggest, right? And we discovered that his photo was huge. It's the first, you know, it's a workaround, but it works to just click and to see how big it gets. Because had the photo not been able to be any bigger than this, right? Because for some reason it was a photo brought in from the internet or something, then you shouldn't expand it. If you expand it, you would be expanding it out of proportion and it would be a really bad quality. Okay. All right. Just to try this out so you guys know, if you try to make a photo bigger or smaller without holding shift, you're gonna
share?
ruin. Oh,
Share.
thank you. Here, I'm doing all this without you seeing it. Thanks. Okay, so what I was showing is that what I asked him to do, if you grab the corner of this and just move it on its own, you're gonna distort the photograph. I'm gonna do controller command Z. In order to make it smaller, please hold down the shift key and then you'll make it bigger or smaller proportionally. Okay, so hold down the shift key the whole time and then you can let go. So practice that from any of the corners, from any of the 4 corners, you can proportionally make things bigger or smaller. Okay. Or, I mean, as long as you hold down the shift key, it can be from the sides too. All I'm saying is you need to hold down the shift key. Now, this is how it's been forever. In all of these programs in Adobe, for the first time ever in Photoshop, it just changed that the shift key is actually for non-proportional. It's kind of weird. I don't know why they didn't do it in all the programs, but anyway. So here we have this photograph. This one has already been prepared to be cut out as an illustration because it doesn't have a background. You'll notice that the one that Matt does, when you've done yours, it had a background, you know, the hood of a car, I don't know what was around it. So we'll have to figure out how to get rid of that. We'll use it as an example. I'll have you share it later. But right now, this one's ready to go. All I need to do is make it into an illustration. Now, when you choose to do this, the first time you do it, I'm going to let you do it without making any conscious choices. We'll just have us do whatever Illustrator wants to do. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and there's 2 places. The photo has to be, so if you clicked away and didn't select it, you have to select it again. Okay. Once you don't have something selected, if you look over here or over here, there's no choices. Once you select it, well, look at all the choices that appeared and over here and here just from selecting it. Okay. So what we're looking for is this image trace button, which you have up here at the top, or you have here. But before we click on the image press button, remember I told you guys to check and see that the photo image was linked. Over here, see it says linked file. And it tells me that this is the photo.jpg. Okay, so it's giving me information about the file, PPI. Right now, all you need to know is that this image is going to be traced by Illustrator, and all we're going to do is click one time into this one over here, or one time, it doesn't matter where, and we're just going to click. And when we click on that, it gives us, actually, this one gives you choices, interesting, and this one doesn't. This one just does it. Okay, so just click on this one. And if you clicked on this one and you got the choices, for now, click away because we don't want it. I want you to do the one that you don't think about. So click on that one. I thought they'd give you the same response, but they don't. And it gives you a warning. Tracing may proceed slowly with this large image. So remember that this photo was humongous, right? So be careful in the future. Ignore this message. It says, would you like to continue? Yes, it'll take some time. It says to reduce the image size, rasterize to a lower resolution using offset raster. So it wants you to make it a smaller, but after having tested this many times, when the photo is lower resolution, you're going to start losing quality. For example, and all this little detail in her hands and the lace gloves and stuff. So you actually want a high quality image. You're just going to have to wait for it if you want a high quality trace. You know what I mean? So this, if you're in a hurry and want to do some quick tracings without caring about the quality, you might want to lower the resolution, but we don't want it. We're working with a high resolution image. So we'll just say, okay, I got that, and say, okay. And then you're going to wait while Illustrator does its thing. And there you go. That's the thing that Illustrator chose to do.
Deanna,
Yes.
I didn't get that little warning. I just
Okay.
got the drop down menu.
You got the drop down from doing it from the bottom. Just click away. It's okay. Just click away and go to the other button, or it doesn't matter. Just go ahead and do. If you get the drop down, you'll have to choose default.
Oh, default. Okay,
We're gonna get a different
got it.
solution. So did everyone get something kind of similar to what I got?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
But a saddlebag.
when I clicked on the, yeah, when I clicked on the image and let the computer decide, the computer decided to do this. Now, this is not at all what I wanted, but it's because I didn't make a choice. Now, what I want is to have this look as good as possible. I want it to look like a photograph again. I want to actually have be an illustration, but I want it to look like it was a photograph. So I can change that. I can go back over here to the tracings. Not to that one. Here, see, they changed, it's not up there anymore. So head over here. Oh, here are the presets. So on top, the presets are up here, or on the right, the presets are down here. So click over here and let's choose high fidelity photo instead. And let's wait this one out.
Say, Deanna,
Yes,
I found my girl. I found
Okay.
the girl. Should I
Cool.
just revert to that, do you think? So, okay.
so that the sample makes more sense. Your image only had like 2 colors. It wasn't very color. If you had another image, I'd say go for it.
Yeah,
But otherwise with this one, you're going to get more out of the class.
all right. I'll find her. Place.
See how much longer it's taken this time, how quickly the other one happened and how this one's taking its long time. Yeah. It's because it's really trying to do a much more precise job, and it's creating bazillions more paths and objects and colors. I mean, a photograph like this to look realistic has literally millions of colors, millions of pixels. But
I have a
once
question.
it's done, oh, there you go, it finished.
Are you in high fidelity? I just dropped the picture. Are you in high fidelity or 16 color?
A high fidelity photo, and it looks like it didn't work. Yes, Vanessa?
I was just gonna ask so this process that we were doing was to rasterize the photo, and that's going to make it higher quality? Or?
No, we're not rasterizing. If you
I just said that because my pop-up said something about rasterize.
it said,
photo.
if you want to lower the resolution, you have to rasterize and stuff like
Oh.
that. Don't. if you're gonna work with photo resolutions, learn how to do it in Photoshop and do it in Photoshop and bring in a photo to the right resolution. Do not use Illustrator. So that's what I'm saying. Basically ignore that. Say, okay, ignore that message and do not change the resolution of an image in Illustrator. That was basically my instruction. So after this, so just say okay and continue through and don't bother with rasterizing. Okay, so unfortunately, I'm not sure if this worked. I don't know. What do you think?
So what we're trying to get is just basically the silhouette of this woman as an object. Is that what we're trying?
No, we were trying to turn this into an illustration, but it looks like it still looks like a photograph. And I'm being really silly here because actually it did work. So my being silly isn't working. I'm not a good actress and I got interrupted by a question, which is fine, but what I'm trying to say is we got a result of tracing as a high fidelity photograph and it still looks like a photograph, but look, I'm going to use the zoom tool and I'm going to zoom in to a little bit of her face and look at that. This used to be a photograph and it's been turned. I've zoomed into 530 and it's been turned into an illustration. A high fidelity illustration. Pretty amazing, huh? Pretty incredible. So much so that usually when I make the joke of, oh, it didn't work, people go like, oh, didn't work this time. But
I did last time.
yeah, Matt already knew the joke. He was ready for it. I control minus. So I'm going to start heading down. But as you can see, look at that scarf. It just had to work really hard. Illustrator had to work really hard because it spent all this time. And I'm going to put down the space bar making millions of paths and lines and anchors, basically anchors and paths, and filling it with bazillions, I don't know how many colors I'm going to invent here to imitate that photograph. But of course, when you get really up close, it is now an illustration. Now, what's amazing is the detail that they managed to capture in the skin and the gloves. Let's go to Control or Command 1 and just look at this thing again and notice that now that you know it, it's an illustration. If you really pay attention, you can see some of that here, right? On the edges. But other than that, I mean, it's amazing. The shine, it's just incredible. What a good job. Yeah. So now that it's an illustration, and we're not done here, I've got more to show you about this photo, but now it's an illustration, we're a few steps away from being able to grab this photo, which is not pixels anymore. It's now vector files, and make it as big as the side of a 10-story building, which once seen from the floor, as one looks up, it will look like a perfectly good photograph of this lady or a billboard or something like that. Does that make sense? But it would have not been possible to do if this were Photoshop. Photoshop, we had the limit of as big as it could get was that 10 by 15 or whatever size that it came out. There just did not have any way to make it any bigger. So this is one solution. This is how you get those huge apples on the sides of the Vons or the Berryman. I always think truck. Okay, now we're not done yet. What if we don't want this high fidelity photo? Then there's so many other tools you can do to make this be what you want. So you already saw two. The first one, which was basically just black and white, and this one, which is high fidelity, millions of colors. Now, in order to open up the other choices over here to the right, you could keep choosing many other of these choices. Let's choose one more so you can see what I mean. Let's go to 6 colors. Let's do that one. Click on 6 colors. And each time you click on something, you need to wait it out. This one will take less time. The whole point is that it hasn't happened yet. This is a preview. The moment I say, okay, I like this, I have to do one more step, which is expand it, then I'm stuck with whatever choice I made. The only way to make a new tracing is to bring in the photo again and make a new tracing. Right now, these are previews that are being given to me. So I am choosing silhouette and high fidelity. I'm choosing 6 colors, so I can still keep tracing and tracing until I have what I like. When I'm done and I have what I like, then I have to hit this expand. But for now, we'll say that we're not ready. So there you go. This is what happened with 6 colors. And let me turn my sound off because the dog is okay. I just asked somebody to come and get the dog. So there's someone at the door. All right. So does this look like 6 colors to you? I mean, it all looks like one color, but it's just the fact that don't get confused with the color and tones, because if you look at it, there's this color, there's that one, there's that one, there's that dark gray, and then there's the black. So by the time you're done, you've got 6 tones of something. And it doesn't matter that they're similar to one another, it's still considered 6 colors. So 6 colors gives us a very colorless image in this case. Notice that the computer decided to assign a color to the background, which before was white. And now it has a color. It has what this computer decided to make the white of the background and the lightest parts of her skin and in here and on the belt and on the dots is actually a lightish pink. It didn't want to waste a color on white, right? So it didn't give one of the colors to the background to make it whiter. The thing is that there's a way to make choices in between all of these presets. There's more presets than ever. But what if I don't want any of these presets? What if in between 6 colors and 16 colors, what if I want 32 colors or 8 colors or, you know, other stuff? So let me show you how other ways we can modify a trace. Over here to the right, you see this little button, click on that and you get this whole panel to open up. Did everyone find it? You can also find it right here next to these presets where you can see all the different presets. Then you can have open the panel from there. So it's the same thing. Okay, so here we have the presets. The presets are things that I've already decided. Don't click on one. If you click on one, it's going to go through the whole thing. And let me first play around with some of these options. And to show you these options first, what I need to do is I need to turn off that preview. Remember I told you this was a preview? Even one tiny little movement of any of these things from the number 2 to the number 3 will cause the whole thing to run through again. So I'm going to turn off the preview for a second. Now I can switch easily from one to another no, really? It still ran through it. It didn't let me not run through it. And you turn this off, supposedly it didn't run through the previews before. I can make changes. Okay, so I can't do presets, but I can make changes with this off without it running through the thing. So here's the thing. I can make different choices myself. Instead of having to do them through here, I can decide that I want color, grayscale, or black and white. Now, black and white is what we saw the first time. It's only black or only white. So it's never going to be tones of gray versus grayscale is going to give this whole thing and what we tend to call black and white. But grayscale is really what we tend to call black and white, which it has all of these shades turned into tones of gray or color. Then I can decide to use different palettes, or maybe I have, excuse me. I should turn the sound off for a sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you. So I can change and have different places, different kinds of palettes that I can bring in. I can import for now. Let's leave that. Colors. I can choose to have 8 colors, 100, as many colors as I want. All of this plus, let's click on this advanced thing. I can choose how many paths and how many corners and how much noise I want. So I'm going to show you a few more of these choices as we explore the other image, that butterfly. So we're going to keep exploring what all these things mean. But right now, I'm going to have us go ahead and choose. Let's go to color and let's make it be, I don't know, 32 colors. That should bring some color in. 6 colors is very limited. Maybe it's too many. I don't know. Let's try with 30 colors. I don't know yet. We need to try it. Then paths or corners is going to be much easier for you to see the difference in the other photograph. It has to do with how the fidelity of how much Illustrator is going to really stick to the shape that it has, or more or less paths. If you make it have more paths, it'll be more tighter to the original image versus low, et cetera, et cetera. Noise, this image doesn't have much noise. You'll see that in the next image. So let's go ahead and say, okay, colors 30, leave these as they are. And then here, what we're doing is, what do you want to view? You want to view the tracing result. And this is what is considered a tracing result. It's the preview. So now to make this actually go, hit the preview, turn it on. The moment you do that, it starts coming up with the choice that it's going to give you.
So I got the colors 30, and then what else did you want?
These I left as is. These I didn't change. I just wanted to show them to you. We're going to play with more of these later in the with the black and white, because it has noise and it has edges, and you'll see the difference more. So right now I'm just leaving them there. So I'm just showing you that there's more options. Uh-oh. Why did everything go black on me? Application is not responding. Okay. And then it responded. Interesting. Okay. It said it wasn't going to respond, and then it did respond.
So
all right.
I'm sorry, on the method, we do the far right one.
Method, the one that's default is this one that's called overlapping. So that one's, I haven't changed anything in advanced.
Mine,
Okay.
well, my method, the other one was highlighted.
Oh, okay.
So we do the right.
So yeah, so the difference is, I'll show you. Once we expand, I'll show you the difference between one and the other. Right now, while we're in this preview mode, you can't tell the difference between these two. So right now we've got the overlapping one pre-selected, and you'll see what that means once we expand this. Notice over here that what this says is that it has 54,000 anchors and 4,000 paths and 2,464 colors. So this is basically what we got out of this choice. Okay. Now, if I start looking into these gloves, one of the things that got lost between the high level fidelity and now is that I don't have so much detail in here, nor in her hair, nor of course on the colors of skin. Something has to give, right? All right. But we have some color this time. Finally, we have some lip color and some more realistic skin color. And we were able to waste, so to say, one tone by telling it, using one for down here. Okay, so now let's say that this is what we like, that this is what we want.
I'm sorry. My colors down at the bottom are just showing 6, but I push the slider over up above there to 30?
Up here it says 30.
Yeah. But the bottom says 6.
Well, what are you seeing here? Are you seeing in your example a lot of colors or not?
Um,
Do you want to just share with me so
sure.
we can see what's
I'd
happening?
love to share with you.
Okay, so it looks like the thing is happening right now. I think what you had before was you were making your choices and you didn't have it started. Now you're doing the thing. So when it's done, it'll probably show all the colors down there. Now you're having it do the choice. The thing is that the moment you change something, say even when you shared with me, if you changed one of these choices at all, because you're watching previously how now it says colors 2500.
Right. Okay.
Now, if you are in this mode, even a single shift to any one of these tracers will make it run through the whole thing again. That's why I said that when you're trying to set your choices, you turn the preview off. That way it lets you operate. Otherwise, even one tiny movement engenders a whole new trace for the thing. Okay, so let's choose one more and let's say that it's the one that we're gonna do. So I'm gonna go for the 16 color one. And again, the moment I let go of my mouse, since I didn't turn off the preview, boom, I let go of my mouse. See that there? It began happening because it was on, right? So this is the last preview we're going to have for this image. And now we're going to expand it and turn it into an actual illustration. All right. So now I like this one a bit better. 16 colors. It still gives me a lot of color. It has less definition here. In the chest area, I still have enough colors. Let's say that I'm in love with it. Yay. Now, if the idea is that I'm going to be creating a poster, right, for some retro looking brand of sunglasses or something, then this kind of looks like it'll work. I'm ready. I love it. Everything about this I want. Now I have to go to this expand button, which is either here or there. The moment I hit the expand button, then this image truly will turn into objects and paths and anchors and all that stuff. Right now, once I expand, I can't go back. Okay, so hit expand. Now notice that the image trace choices all go gray because I'm done. I am now not able to trace this anymore. So for now, I'm going to close this box and we can focus on what's happening here. So if I click away, it's the same image that we saw in the preview. But now when I hover over it and select it, now you're seeing all the paths that went to creating this image, which were, I don't remember how many thousands, but tons of them, right? And if I start approaching, I'm going to go Control+++, and I hover over it. Notice that as I click on one of them, just click on something. Remember, oh, I didn't show you yet. This image, okay, let me show you that before I explain. When you try to click on something, the problem is that nothing is selectable on its own, right? And why is that? Because if you look at the paths, at the layers, what's been created is a group. Now, if I open that group, my goodness me, there's thousands upon thousands of little bits and pieces in there. Every one of these little tiny things here. But when I try to select it, it's all a group. So if I were to really want to select one of these pieces, what would I have to do?
Ungroup.
What's that?
Ungroup it.
Well,
Direct
Ye-
selection tool?
Yeah, the danger of ungrouping, I'm going to show you. If I ungroup, right, it would be dangerous because look, now when I click on something, if I move it a little, boom, yikes. It fits exactly right. See that? So ungrouping is usually not a good idea.
Double click
Right?
it then.
Yeah, so I'm gonna Command Z, Control Z until this says group again. I need to do the whole isolation mode thing, right? So what if I want to change something? What if I want to make one of these dots have a different color? I have to double click, double click, double click, double click until it's been isolated. Remember that? Because you don't want to move something that's so absolutely exact and accurate, but you can double click it as many times as you want. And maybe now I want to give this, and I'm going to be completely bizarre here because this color doesn't match, but there you go. I've given it green. I back off, and there you go. Now that has a green spot on her dress. And maybe I can make, yeah, there's many other things I can do with all these colors. I'm going to show you some other thing about changing colors, but you need to isolate it from the rest, but you can't ungroup it because, and once again, I do want to show you the ungrouping because these pieces are completely, and I'm going to get up closer. They are, whoops, I did the other way around. I went too small. They are linked in such a way that they fit exactly right. Each one of these little bits and pieces is one element right here. So there's bazillions of elements, right? There's that little element. So ungrouping a tracing is never really a good idea. Because then you're left with holes, spaces that don't make sense. Command Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, until I get my little green spot again. And until I'm back in group mode. All right. So remember when Rhonda asked me about those two options about overlapping, you know, the two options that she asked me about that I said, you'll see that in a minute. So that was the choice, was how are these going to be created? Are they going to overlap or not? And if you notice, when you hover over one of this or the other, see how there's a little overlap between one shape and the other? If you hover over this and this, there's an do you see what I mean by overlap? One path is a bit to the left, one path is a little bit to the right. So that that little tiny line that's left in the middle is really the overlapping of this between that, just so that there's no white left over. Even then, as I approach a little bit, I'm discovering that there is a little bit of white. When you get really, really up close, sometimes you get to see, oh, look at that. There's a little bit of white there. You see that? It's hard to find. I'm going to approach it. But there you go. Somehow, in all of the work done, a little hole left. Now, I don't know if this get printed, if you'll see that or not. But if you think you'll be able to see it, then you need to modify this path and fix that, right? To make sure there's no little holes left there. So this is a little bit of the elbow. I'm going to Command Z to go back, and I was looking at that little bit right there. If I were want to change any of these paths, selecting this shape, I would have to go to my white selection tool. Okay, remember my white selection tool? Then I would have to click again and click again. So I'm going to click on this this green one. Approach this green one with my white selection tool. I'm going to select this green one, select again, and then say that maybe I want to expand the bottom. Take that, oh, sorry. Take that, click one time on the anchor, and then expand it. And then expand it. So I can still make changes if I don't think that, you know, I'm going to make a very extreme change. Underneath that, we see white. because this thing didn't overlap. I can overlap outwards or I can overlap inwards, but then I have to select the black and get that and drag it in too, so that it is also underneath. So this is what it meant by stacked layers. This is underneath this one. Okay, so I can overlap it this way. And when I go Control-0, now I've changed that shape with that spot, which looks a bit like a skull or a Pac-Man now upside down. But you need to consider that if you move any of these guys, you're leaving them on their own. So let's go ahead and make a second page. So I'm gonna say a second artboard.
Deanna,
Yeah.
on those sub layers or micro layers under the group.
Mhm. Stacks.
Oh,
Yep.
stacks. Yeah, under the stack.
Mhm.
Can you number them or label them?
You could, but there's
How do you do that?
there's bazillions of them. I mean,
Well-
it doesn't
well,
make sense.
So you could, let's say you want to remember, instead of just looking at the picture, you
Uh-huh.
want to have a code to it, like 1 through 1,000,000, and then you number them.
I mean,
Is that
I
any
don't
purpose to it?
no, the group you might want to call, you might double click and call it something, right? Call it woman or something like that. But each individual piece, you can't, each individual object, you can't, there's no way to number and name each individual object, you know what I mean?
Okay,
In this case, what you can do is click over here and, oh, we're talking about that little piece there, or click over there and discover you're talking about that little piece over there. But yeah, it would make no sense. This is, as we said before, it's probably, I don't even know how to even measure how many thousands and thousands of little objects got created to make her skin. Forget it, if this had been a high fidelity photograph, there'd be uncountable little objects, right? So yeah, so usually you would operate from the point of view of selecting and changing at most, if you really need to change the colors. I'm going to show you now. We're going to bring her in again another way, and then we're going to put in change some colors, like change the reds, maybe make her lipstick different or something like that. But let's first bring her in again, making a few different choices. Now, see, I can't go in and change my trace. We've already done a trace. This is already an object now. There's no way to bring it back into being a photograph. Does that make sense? So, and I want to do a different trace, I have to bring in the image again. So I have to go back to File and Place. Find her again under the name Photo. Place. Bring her in one more time by clicking and dragging. And there she is. This is again the preview. So I'm doing it a little bit faster, letting you catch up with the idea. Click on the image trace. By the way, on this image trace, you have the choice to click on that and have different choices of presets. Here, when you click on it, it gives you that whole list of presets. So I'm going to go, and this time I'm going to say black and white logo. Say okay to that. And now. So that was that first choice that we had, remember? Now, when you have that first choice, there are some things you can change. You can decide that, okay, you wanted black and white, but maybe you want a different amount of this to fall in versus out. Let's go to that little box over here, which gives me all my choices here. Oh. Why is my image trace box? I don't want. Is yours box also unavailable?
Mine was available.
I don't know why mine is grayed out. Weird stuff happening. Just do Control Z. That's bizarre. Just black and white logo. Okay, and now let's get. There it's available. I don't know. VDI, weird things are happening. Anyway, there they are. It's available now. And in this case, in the black and white logo, there's a huge difference that can be made by making certain choices here. Is everyone here? Did you all get the black and white version of? Oh,
Yes.
I wonder how long Andrea has been waiting. Yikes. I just noticed that Andrea had arrived and I have no idea how long I made her wait. Sorry. Okay. Hi, Andrea. Sorry, I have no idea how long you waited. Just noticed that you were in the waiting room. Okay. I don't even think she can hear me yet. Okay. So here we are in the trace mode, black and white logo. And there's something here that makes a huge difference. So I'm going to turn this preview off for a minute so I can show it to you. Threshold is a very important concept. Everything right now is being told. And so if you have the total of 255 is the highest number, okay? And the highest number 255 is because when you have tones of gray, there are 255 tones of gray in a grayscale. So what this is saying is middle point of 255, anything that is lighter than that will become white. Everything that is darker than that will become black. So if you want more black and less white, right? So if you, or more white and less white, you can change the threshold level. So I'm going to move this to something very, very, very obvious. I'm going to click way over there. Okay. That's 38. I'm going to hit the preview. And basically what I'm saying is redistribute everything. And anything that's darker than only this many grays becomes black. And everything that's lighter than all of these grays become white. So now I have a ton of white in my image and very little black. Or I can move my threshold way to the other end and I'm going to have basically any gray that's lighter than the number 215 is going to become black and everything else become white. Now it's going to run through it again and see I have a hugely black figure. Does that make sense? So the threshold in a black and white is a very valuable thing to understand and to play with until you get what you truly were trying to show. So this doesn't look like a woman anymore almost because of how much black there is. And the white one didn't either. So usually you'll go somewhere more nuanced, maybe a bit more than before, maybe a bit less than before. So there, I like that one a bit better because now see she has some shape to her shoulders, whereas before we had lost her shoulders completely in the one. So anyway, you play around with this until it gives you what you want, maybe a little bit less, 150. Let's try that again. So just by moving that, now I lost that line there, but it's suggested, but I have a bit more of her face. Anyway, say that that's the threshold that I like. Then you get to look at paths and corners. Now, oh, I must have moved something and it's running. Let me turn the preview off because if not, it's going to keep running it. So if I want this to be more precise or less precise, I can say how many paths I want. And if I want it to be more or less precise, I can also change how many corners, meaning how sharp the angles. And that's going to make a difference in these gloves because these gloves, and we're going to see that also with the butterfly. See how they have some pretty tight little corners, very sharp little shapes. If I tell it to give me a ton more corners, and the preview's off right now, so it won't do it, and a ton more paths, so I've elevated this a lot. You write down here, I've got 16,000 anchors and about 4,000 paths. I just elevated those a ton. Now I'm going to say, go ahead and trace from 4,000 and 16,500. Look at that. I moved up to 4,570. And look at how much more nuanced these little shapes are. Before there were little boxes, and now see how they're boxes with little divots in them? How they became more detailed, which in the long run, when you back out, makes them look a bit more realistic versus. So keep an eye on that. I'm going to do a little screenshot of this bit so later we can compare. So compare that with, I'm going to move this to, first I'm going to turn off the preview or it'll run it through the lowest amount of paths, the lowest amount of corners. And then I'm going to tell it to trace. Keep an eye on that. There you go. See the difference? Did you guys see it shift? And if you didn't see
Yeah.
it shift, I'll do it once again. But look at the amount of detail is so different between one and the other choice. Now, I went extreme, right? Low path, low corners, high path, high corner. I went to the two extremes, but that's because I'm trying to show you what a difference these settings make. So beyond the threshold, how much fidelity you want to the original makes a difference. You might want a more illustration drawn. This might make more sense for you if you're trying to look at less real. The other one would try to be making it a bit more hyper realistic. Okay. So once again, oh, my screenshots aren't going to share. I have to, so let me show you the screenshots. I'm going to open here. I'm going to share with you the screenshots that I just took of one option over the other. But for that, I need to open them up and change my screen share. Let me screen share here. So now I'm just showing you my two screenshots. That to this, very different, right? That is as high, as many corners and paths as possible. And this is the least amount of corners and paths as possible. You see the difference there? You see that a lot in the details. There's no change really on the sides. So if you go to her, I don't know, dress, you might not see so much difference, but it's in the details that you can really see a difference. This seen from afar looks more like a little lace glove than this one, which looks like more mechanical type of shapes. Okay. I'm gonna go back to this share. All right. So no, here's Anne. I did notice Anne immediately. Sorry, Andrea, I left you waiting outside. I don't know. Oh my God, 10-minute wait. Yikes. I'm so sorry, Andrea. Next time, send me an email or it only goes beeping one time, right? Like a little, and if at that point I wasn't noticing or talking or paying attention, so sorry. This time Anne beeped and I saw her come in. All right. So so there you go. That's what big of a difference this makes. Now I'm going to go ahead and right now I'm going to choose let that be at the most. Then there's a couple of other things. Noise will be more visible later, but over here, overlapping, which is the one that I chose last time, gave us the objects that had a little bit of overlap one over the other versus a budding right there where the paths are going to cut each other. Okay. And there might be a few more flaws there. We'll try it out. I'm going to try that one this time. I also want to try one more thing, which is I'm going to say ignore white. I'm going to click on ignore white. I'm going to do Command Control 0. And what's going to happen is if I don't ignore white, then white also becomes a shape. It becomes a shape with paths and outlines that I can manipulate. If I say ignore white, then the only shapes I'm going to have are the ones that are black, and then the rest is going to be nothing. Does that make sense? So if I print on a piece of white paper and I don't ignore white, then this will be white. It will be a box with a fill called solid white. But if I say ignore white and I print this and I print this on red paper, it'll be black and her skin will be red. Does that make sense, you guys? So now I'm going to say ignore white. I've made the high level choice there. That's the threshold and I'm ready to trace. So now I'm going to say either turn on the preview or say trace. It does the same thing. It finally gives it a final trace. And I chose this method of abutting. All right. So now that it's given me my final trace, now I'm going to say expand. And here I am. I can turn this box off. Now I'm in outside of the trace image mode. I'm in Illustrator with my group. Okay, I have group now. And if I look at my layers, I'll have two groups. I've got the color, the 16 colors, however many 30 colors I use there, plus this one here, which is the black and white. Just because I'm giving it a name. And in fact, there's going to be many little shapes too, even though it's only two colors, but it's made out of many little shapes, especially around over here, all these gloves, right? But if I approach, the difference is going to be, I'm going to click on it with my arrow. These shapes are not going to have that little overlap that they had before. This shape does not have an overlap over the others. Remember there was an overlap on this first one? So if I move a shape, well, let me just go to maybe some part of her face, the lips, maybe. I'm gonna go to her lips. Well, they're just a black thing. So these shapes, oh, well, since there's no colors, it's hard to tell. They're not-
Yeah. She can't hear me.
I'm gonna mute Ali. Okay, so I can't give you the example of a budding because it's either black or white, not colors, but had we done this one as a color, you'd be able to see how instead of having these lines that overlap each other, they'd be just next to each other. Because we did the abutting, but there's nothing really to overlap because there's only one color. It's either black or nothing. If I try to select here in the background, this area is actually, I can double click, double click, double click, double click. See the background of the woman? I've been able to select it and I could even give it a color, a ridiculous color, but there you go. It's colorable because it was a shape. And I can select the same thing here and double click and double click and double click into this little space and give it that same color. Doesn't look good, but I can. And now I have a woman on this color. This, on the other hand, since we said ignore white, is not a shape. The only thing that's a shape is what's in black. Does that make sense, you guys? That was that little ignore white that we did. So this became something it was the background, but it's still a shape versus this is not. Okay, so this gives you a bit of an idea of the power of image trace. Any questions that come to mind?
Diana, how would you complete the arm of this woman? Would you just like you know, like it's not, the
Yeah.
arm is not complete. Yeah.
So-
What would you do?
Well, one option would be if you really want to, is to actually draw. Remember how when we did the rubber ducky, create a path out of a very, very thin, you know, a hairline, and make that shape. Either have people imagine it, which is one way, or if you really want that line to be there, you have to create that little line like over here. You still have it, recreate it, and then make that shape happen here. I think that we as humans, it's a recognizable enough shape that our mind can fill it in probably well enough. But what wouldn't work here is for me to give this a background. Right now it fills it in because it's all white. But if I were to give it this color, I'm going to make a background for this thing and give it a color, say pink, and then move it to the back. That really wouldn't work at all. Right? Well, I guess it works as a stylistic thing. But what I was trying to say is it breaks up in the sense that you wouldn't believe that that is the color. Had we left it as white, we could have given white as the background and then given it a color. Like instead of it, we could have given it a color background anyway, right? I think that the best thing here, if you really want that outlined, is to create a path, right? Choose a very, choose a black color, or even with a pencil, I don't know, and then just, I'm gonna go with the curvature tool. Click down here, and I don't have, let me actually approach. I don't have something to imitate because I don't have her shape here. I can do that. Control Z. I clicked. I dropped something in there that I shouldn't have. It's not responding. Aha. Illustrator is being very frustrating right now. Let me see if I can do it here. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so I would create a line going from here to there, and it's not responding. Why is it letting me do it out here and not in there? It's going crazy. Anyway, can someone get it to work? It's not working for me right now. It's getting.
I see too many backs, and now, let's see, maybe.
So I'm able to make it happen here.
I don't need to select the image, right? Just trace it, like select, no, don't select it, but I guess go into the white and then.
Yeah, so there, I made a little line out here. For some reason, it wasn't trying to go in there. So now I'm just bringing it in here, which of course isn't gonna work because I just made any old line because it wasn't working. But anyway, I'll put one tip over there. I'll bring this guy over here and this one over here. So I don't know why it wasn't working. So you get the point. I was just trying to bring something in, but anyway, let me just get rid of this and see if it responds to me now. I was just trying to bring in that shape. For some reason, it doesn't. I don't know why it's not doing it in here. Is it working for anyone else?
It is working for me, but I guess let me ask you. I thought the curvature tool you have to start and then end on the same place, right?
Yeah, but
So
you can also not. You can just hit escape and stop, but it's not working for.
Escape.
It's driving me crazy. It's not working for me.
Yeah, it did work for me.
I think because I'm sharing and I'm using VDI. So you guys, have you all, if you wanted to been able to do it, Jean, you have your hands up?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
Some programs like Microsoft Office, you know, that you can save all your steps and then maybe you can see a progression of steps. Is that a possibility in Illustrator where you can go back to a previous step?
No, and yes, meaning you can always go back to a previous step, but you don't see them. Like in Photoshop, there's a whole history palette and stuff, but we don't have that visible in Illustrator. You have version history of things that you've done before you saved it and stuff like that. So here's, but it's a whole different kind of creature. It's not the same history. That said, without you seeing it, you can still undo backwards as much as you want, which is Control Z or Command Z. And it has that memory. So you can do undo up until I think about 50 times. I think it has the memory of its history. Let me see how much history it remembers in Photoshop. In Photoshop, you can tell it how many things to remember. I don't know if there's a limit in Illustrator because each step in Illustrator takes much less memory. No, you can't change that here. So undo counts here, 100. So you can undo and redo up to 100 times. Does that make sense?
What is the command for redo?
Okay, undo is Control Z. Redo is Shift Control Z. Okay. Now remember, guys, when you use these undos and redos, they only work sequentially. So you can't suddenly undo that thing that you did 30 minutes ago without undoing all the steps up to that thing that you did 30 minutes ago. And then you can redo again sequentially forwards. But say that you undo 30 things and then you do something new, then you've lost that history. You can't come back later to this place. So say if right now I didn't want her to be pink, I would have to undo everything I did before I got to the place. So may I want to change, I don't want this background to be blue. Well, after I made this background blue, I did so much other work here that if I now want to undo my way back to when I made this blue, I will get rid of all the work I've done in between and I won't have it anymore. Does that make sense? So all the history is very limited, and this is how it works everywhere in Word and Photoshop always. You can't just jump and undo just one little thing from the middle and keep this work that you've done. So really the whole 100 steps or 50 steps, if you don't like something, you have to decide 10 or 20 steps in, and then redo it, or you basically wasted 2 hours of work. So that's just personal point of view. By the way, this file we haven't saved yet, and I've just noticed that it's an untitled file. Let's go ahead and do File, Save As. For those of you like me in VDI, we're going to go to Google Drive, My Drive, Illustrator Classwork, and then we're going to call this one Woman Image Trace. And save it. And say okay. So any questions? Anne, are you around? Anne came in. There you go. Yes, Vanessa?
Yeah, I
Oh,
had
no, you
one
don't.
question. I'll share my screen.
Okay, let me stop my share. Okay.
Okay. So if you see
That
when I select this one,
Yeah.
it's selecting the other one as well.
Yeah, but this one still has a big X across it. What that means is that you haven't yet expanded it. So you're still in preview mode. So go and select that and hit expand, and then you'll be able to. You dropped out of, click away, get out of you're inside of, how do you call it? You're inside of isolation mode. Yeah, there we go. Now select it. It's like you have two things grouped in there. When you click on them, see how you have two things grouped?
Yeah, that's what I can't.
Group?
I don't think I did. But if I
Go ahead.
ungroup it,
Seems like you did. Go ahead and say ungroup. There you go. Now click away and click again on your moment. There you go. Now they're ungrouped. Okay, so now you can expand.
Okay,
Somehow or another, the two had ended up grouped, and that's why you couldn't make it work.
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else have any questions about this? I'm going to go ahead and have us take a break. We're going to be working with some text and with the butterfly. But if you want less of a break, you can play around imagining how to make one of these into a poster. I'm going to, let's say it's 6:45. We'll see you at 7. Okay? All good?
Yep.
All right. Cool. I'm gonna stop the recording. Hi again.
Hey, Diana.
All right. So
Um,
Andrea, I'm reading the chats. Yeah, that you'll watch the YouTube. I'm so sorry I left you there 10 minutes. Okay. So yeah. We had, you had, I think, Matt, a question about something regarding tracing specifically before I go on to the next example. What?
I had talked about modifying a given font. Can I
Mhm.
screen share really quick just to give you?
Yeah,
I
but
don't
was
have,
it based on tracing or? Because we're
yeah.
gonna modify font now, but okay, go ahead and show me what you wanted to show me.
All right, it'll be easier that way.
Mhm.
Let's see. Okay, you're there, right?
Yeah.
This old thing.
But yeah, you sent me that, but you sent me something at some point where you had done it already and it
And I
looked
don't
really
have that.
good.
I don't have that at my fingertips. That was font. But can you see, I would like to take font and then I can't find, I mean, I'm trying to reproduce this thing to the T. So to get this little swirl, I thought I would use the tool and attach it to the font. And then this little flourish on the O. I can find a font that's similar to it, but I'm trying to replicate it. And anyway,
Yeah.
is there?
So yeah, Matt had asked me this once, and one thing I had asked him to send me the file, and I remember I played with it for a little bit because I thought maybe one idea might be if in Photoshop we just try to make more contrast here, where the stuff that's light gray becomes whiter and the black becomes blacker. But when I tried to do that, the lines are so fuzzy, so off that whenever I would do that, I would just lose all these parts. Like
Yeah, I did the same thing too. I mean, probably not
Yeah.
at your level, but I spent hours trying to manipulate it
Yeah.
to make it traceable. And
So
it
at
looked-
that point, I figured that this is a piece of a photograph that's big, and it's just a little bit of that photograph
Yeah,
that's an old T-shirt that he wants. So I think that what you need to do here is either completely trace the whole thing, with a pen and paths and stuff, or find the font that matches it the most and then modify the font. So now we're going to go and deal with modifying the font.
that's what I would like to do.
So that's what I'm going to show next. So that might help. So you guys see what I mean? There's no font that's going to give you this exactly.
No.
On top of that, this is a folded T-shirt. So see
Yeah.
the C and the H. I mean, I'm assuming you're going to fix that. You probably
Sure.
don't want it to look
Yeah,
like it's on a
I'll
T-shirt.
just have my own version. That doesn't have to be
Mhm.
identical, but I would just trying to get as close. as I
But
can
the
to-
old mill that seems very careful. There's one thing that I want to say that's fun. There's an app on the phone. If you haven't, I don't know if it works on Android, but I haven't checked yet. But on an iPhone, I have I have an app called What the Font.
Oh, yeah.
And you can take a picture of a font and have it search, and it'll tell you the nearest font it can find that might work. So you might want to give that a quick try.
Okay, that sounds
I
great.
don't know that it'll work on the screen. Like if I tried to do that based on your
I've gone
I
through,
don't know. It'll
I've gone
go.
through a lot of fonts, and the one that I sent to you was the closest that I could find. So I
This
thought,
is,
well,
I'm
if I
just
could take that,
trying to photograph
yeah.
on a screen, which is a whole different thing. So I don't know if it'll work, but it's trying. I'll see if it comes up with something and I'll tell you.
Okay.
But as a designer, that kind of, it's a pretty cool app in the sense that it helps you identify things. Anyway, I'm looking at it. Let's see if it finds that. So anyway, no fonts.
Yeah.
Try a different click. So anyway, I don't
I
know.
imagine this t-shirt was probably done around 1960. This silk screen shirt, and who knows? Must be a hand done font by a silk screener or an artist, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm guessing.
So I'm getting font results right now. So let me show you my phone. Let me share my screen with you.
Okay,
Uh,
got mine.
yeah, so basically, here's what my phone is showing you. Are you seeing it? Yeah, so I took it, that's the picture that I just took of from the computer, so it's even worse, right? And
Yeah.
then it came up with these 3 fonts, so it's not bad, right, as
No,
choices.
no, not bad. See
Look at
that flourish?
that one,
The flourish, if I could just interject, that I'm trying to replicate that O with that kind of backwards,
yeah,
I don't know what you call it, that tail on the O. It kind
Yeah.
of goes opposite of what most of them do.
mhm.
You
That
know,
O is how I was taught in cursive to do an O. Like that is a very like in Argentina we use cursives. Anyway,
yeah,
this font that I'm sharing with you is called What the Font.
I'll check
And
it out and see if I
you
can
actually
find it.
photograph your actual photo instead of me photographing the screen of you sharing it. You might get a better deal. But the reason I'm following through with this, you guys, is because that is something that we're going to learn right now. We're going to learn how to modify something that's a font. So we find a font that's near enough, then he could try to work. Oh, look at that. Here's a Facebook group where you can upload a photo and other people help identifying, and the font is, what font is this? Font identification group. So cool. So we can
Facebook,
do
you
that
say?
too. Yeah, on Facebook. So if you go,
Oh. I'll check
that's
it out.
that's a great tip. Thank you.
And we can't see your screen.
Yeah, I stopped sharing the phone.
We're just talking.
Yeah, but on the chat, Vanessa in the chat wrote, there's a font, there's a Facebook group that will you share your image and they try to identify the font for
Very
you.
cool. Thanks for sharing.
So that's great. Thanks, Vanessa. So maybe you can post to that and see if someone gives you a better idea. All right. So the whole point though, is that we're going to be using some font and modifying some font next. So, and then my goal leave this done. We're going to work on modifying fonts. And then if we can come back to this and with some modified font, add some text, change the shape of this artboard and make some kind of a poster. So last time we put some text that went up and down here to the side, and it was talking about a spring event or something like that. This is where I want to explain that I'd like you to try with what we're going to learn the rest of today as homework, not just to do this, which many of you guys did, and you just screenshot and you send it to me, but try with one of these versions or any other version, like with the same image. Maybe you want to retrace it in some other set or in grayscale or something like that. Try to make a poster of some kind. And remember, you don't need to be limited to this 5x7. You can just change the the size of your artboard, go into your artboard tool. Wow. Illustrator is dead to me again. Don't know why Illustrator is having such a hard time today with me. It's not, nothing's working. Okay. I was gonna show you, just change the size of the artboard, make a bigger background, smaller background, put font one way or the other, ideally modified font in the way that we're about to go do once Illustrator starts responding to me again. Let me see. Nothing. Can't change class files. Let me do a refresh again like I did last time. See if it works. Okay, yeah, it begins to look, I need to refresh for things to work for me. So weird. Okay, so you can change parts, bring it in again, do whatever, but go ahead and make a poster of some kind and send me what you've done, and or be ready to share it next week, just so that people begin to see what some of the things that people are doing. Okay. Now let's make sure that you save if you've made any other changes to this file. So keep it there. And what I'd like us to do is to, oh, one last thing. If you click on any of these images right now, remember that before we traced it, we clicked on the image and it was a linked image and it told you what image it was. Once you turn it into a trace and you expand it, there's no link to any images anymore. This is completely unrelated to that photo anymore. It's two different creatures, okay? There's no link. It's gone. It's not a photo anymore. Just wanted to show you that. Now, let's go ahead and create a new document. Actually, sorry, that's close. Let's go to Bridge. I'm going to open an existing one. Let's go to Bridge instead of a new document. And let's go to this one here, the reshape text. And double click on that one. So I spent more time on this one than I normally do. As far as I usually spend less time on this image than I do the butterfly as well. But you guys did a lot of the curves and things on the butterfly. So for now, I'm gonna not continue with image trace given the time and how much I still want to teach you. So I'm having you guys open this numero uno so I can do a little bit of reshape text. And here you go. This is a document that has text. And before we do anything with this, I wanted to show you how that's text and that's text, right? What does the pink stuff under text mean? You guys remember?
It's not on your computer.
It means that you don't have that font. So does this mean that we have this one here because there's no pink under it? Well, no. Basically, this is not font anymore. As much as that woman isn't a photo anymore, it's now an illustration. This that looks like font has been manipulated in a way that it's just not recognized as font anymore. Now this is an illustration, okay? Which is why, although it looks like font, it's not getting the pink thing. Just wanted to show you that. All right, that said, are we able to say yes or no to this? Let's see, I'm gonna hit activate and see if it works. It says there that it's available through the cloud, so it should be able to activate it. But last time we did this, it did work for some people and it didn't work for others.
Yeah.
So if it does or doesn't, it won't matter. We'll just create our own, but I just wanted to see, because I still don't understand how come for some of you it worked and for some of you it didn't.
It's grayed out for me, so.
The choice of activating is grayed
Yeah.
out for you. Yeah, and it opened up the whole Creative Cloud, but it won't, manage fonts as if we could, but it's, so I clicked on, you guys saw I clicked on something here that said manage fonts and it brings me here to Obitron. And if I say next, this is teaching it to, okay, skip. Just skip all that. It says that it's activated. I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, after I do all of that, it does successfully activate it. So for me, it worked. If it doesn't for you, don't worry. We can just
Is it
use,
closed?
any
Just click close.
similar, what's that?
Just click close. I mean, because it's not,
Yeah, actually, are you at your own home computer or on VDI?
VDI.
Why does it do it for me and not for you? Share your screen and I'll see for anyone else for whom it's not working. Let's see how we can make it work. I'm hearing like background sounds on some people. I don't know who it is, so I'm gonna mute
Maybe
you guys.
somebody's in my house.
Oh, well, if it's you and
watching
you're talking
TV.
to me, that's fine. It seemed like it was something else. Okay, go ahead and share your screen. There it is. Click on find fonts to see if it does anything. Activate, replace with, okay, so guys, because last time I couldn't show you what to do instead. So in her case, she said find fonts. And so basically what her computer is doing is it says the document is Orbitrum bold activate, but it's not available. So for some reason on her version of VDI, it's not giving it to her. So it's showing you other options. Now these other options are not necessarily, choices that look like it. It's all the options that are available to her, right? So if you look at all these fonts that we've got here, we have a font that's a sans serif, meaning it doesn't have those little kind of top legs and bottoms that T's and stuff have. So we need a sans serif version and one that we can't see because these examples are upper lowercase and the text that we have in the background is all uppercase. So it doesn't give you a really good idea. All we can see is like the M of the Myriad Pros kind of looks like that M up there, but it's hard to tell. It seems to me if we keep scrolling down, it's very hard to like really on this little example, be able to tell if you're going to find something that works. So go all the way up to the top again. The only two that could be here would be the Myriad Pro on top or the third one, Acumen variable concept thing. Now this variable thing is a whole different kind of font where you can actually change things about it. Let's just go with the top one only just to activate it so we can use it and so that the pink goes away. Yeah, say done. So then you've changed it. So there you go. It's not the same, like this has that little square bottom, but to do this assignment, that's just as good. But why didn't it stop being pink? Interesting, because you did change it. Click on the.
Right now, even with the text icon that is showing up.
Yeah. Why didn't it? Oh, because it's still considering it's Orbitrum bold. See on the far right where you see the font name, Orbitrum bold?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead and choose that and just shift it. Click on that and then just choose. Oh, this is better. This lets you kind of choose go and choose Myriad Pro. And
okay, just pick something else.
Yeah, you want or one of those
Doesn't
like
matter.
that Geniso. No, you don't want a serif font. It won't work. So try that one. Yeah, Geniso. I don't know what that is. Try that one. But why are you still getting the?
Do I need to select it first?
It wasn't selected. Oh, it wasn't selected. It was yeah, select it first. It just I got confused because of the pink. And I thought that it was selected. So you need to do one by one. So select that one, change that one to that Geniso thing. You can start typing the name, right? Type GEN and yeah, and then there you go. And now you click on Geniso. It's very skinny. Go down to under regular and see if you can make it bold. Go where it says
here.
no, yeah, right under. No, it only comes in that version. So I want to show you guys, see what you see in there. When you choose a font, you might have been accustomed in places, hold on, don't change, please don't change. You might have been accustomed in Word or in other things that you can just go to a button and make something bold or italic, right? Those things always show up or underline. In Illustrator or in InDesign or in Photoshop, which really deal with font as a true thing, you can never go and click a little thing to bead to make something bold. The font designer has to have made a version of that font in bold or in italics. So notice that when she clicks on Geniso, you go underneath that to regular you try to click there, there's nothing but regular. There's no other choices. See that? Now go back to Janiso and choose a Myriad Pro for a second, even if that's not what you want, but choose Myriad Pro. Now go to regular and click on that arrow. Oh, you only have one version of Myriad Pro 2. Go up there and let's see Helvetica. Choose,
Something else?
yeah, I'm trying to see one that might have more options. Go down.
Like this one?
Choose
No.
Helvetica. Start writing the word HEL. Let's see if they gave us many versions.
Oops.
No, you don't have Helvetica. I don't know what options you have. Okay, so here she's, hold on. Go to Hell. See how Helonia has a version called Helonia, a version
Bold.
called Helonia Italic, a version called Helonia Bold, and you see the versions. Like the design has to have been made that way. Does that make sense? That's all I'm trying to show you. So you can't just choose something and then make it bold. So try that one.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, there
that
you
one
go.
looks,
That works. And then change your Uno. to
and
that.
this one does have.
And see how that one has regular italic, bold, and bold italic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so do that.
All right.
All right. So hopefully those of you who didn't get the font, just get something similar-ish enough that we can do the assignment. Okay. But I just wanted to show you that about fonts, that you can't just willy-nilly make any font be bold. It needs to be a font that you own already, or that you've downloaded, or that you have. Okay. So here we have text. Both of these are text.
Oh, please share.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Okay. So here we have text and text, two different boxes. Does anyone, can you tell if this is area text or point text, the stuff that we did last week? Can you tell? What would be a good way to try to find out? I mean, there's other ways to find out, but one might be just grab the corner, right? And try to do this. And if it gets distorted as it is, yeah, I'm going to control, see? That means that it's point text, right? Remember that point text gets distorted, so you don't want to mess around with that. But if you select the T, the type tool, and try to get in there and put in another letter, it is still text, okay? It's still text. It's just that if you try to treat it like an object, it distorts. So I'm going to get rid of that. Let's go ahead and figure out what we need to do in order to do this. Now this is unselectable because it's part of something that it's been sealed, it's been locked over here. It's been locked so that we can see it but not select it, okay? But if you unlock it, I just want to show you, you select it, this is not text anymore. If you try to do anything with the text tool, it doesn't work. This has stopped being text, and in fact now all it is a shape in the shape of a letter. So to transition from that to this, for us to be able to manipulate it, something needs to happen. So I'm going to lock this again. I just wanted to show you that, okay? So that we can figure out how to make that be from there to there. Okay, so I want us to create a new artboard so that we can do all of this next door. All right, I'm going to do Command 0. And madness. I went too far. And what we're going to do is I want to copy this stuff. So I'm going to do a big selection with the selection tool of both. So now I've got both selected. Okay, so it doesn't matter. You just select a little bit of each one and both get selected. And then how did we make a quick duplicate? Who remembers?
Alt and drag.
What's that?
Press Alt and drag.
Yes. So Alt or Option for Mac or PCs, and then click on it and drag out. So now we have the stuff that we're going to work on to make that happen. All right. So the first thing we need to do is convert this into a shape. So select one of them, the top one, I guess in this case. Go over to Object, sorry, go over to type. Create outlines. Now, the moment you do this, this stops being text and this becomes just a shape. Now, just like the woman that we scanned, it's a shape that's showing up as a group.
Is that undoable? What you just
Right,
did?
right now as an undo, yes, but not ever again. Like you can undo, just like you could undo the trace, but that's it. Other than that, no. Once this is a text, if you close this thing and come back 2 hours later and you open the file again, it's only a shape and this will never be text anymore. Okay. Like right now, I can't put my cursor in there and add the letter B or correct font anymore. Once you convert this into a shape, this is text. Sorry, this is a shape, still text. When you see the text box, go back to type. And I think you can actually, for those of you who like right clicks, it's probably available as a right click. Yeah, create outlines right there. Shift Control 0. So now we have separate shapes that look like letters. Okay. Now, from here to here, what we need to do is, so this is what we want to get to, right? So what we want to do is we want to play around with these shapes. First of all, this U has to go down here, but we can't separate it because it's part of a group, right? So in this case, first thing we need to do is break up the group so that we can work with the letters on their own. So I'm going to select the object and ungroup. Okay. Now that it's ungrouped, it looks the same, but I have to click away and then click again. And now each piece stands out on its own. So when you first ungroup, let me do that again. I haven't, there's still a group. When you first have a group and you first ungroup, it looks as if nothing has happened because the selection is still the whole set. You need to deselect and then each piece becomes its own. Now be careful when you do that, that you don't shift them or move them a little bit in the selection because then they've lost, you know, their position. So if so, just give it a Control or Command Z. Now, in order to do this correctly, we got to establish some guidelines here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit and create some guidelines here that will help me. Now, what do I mean? I wouldn't know where to put this U, right? Because there's one thing is if I really pay attention, it might show me where to put it, but I want to be sure that I'm putting it in the exact spot. So I'm going to do some guidelines. First of all, to get guides out, we want to view the rulers, which I always want to see anyway. So I'm going to go to View Rulers, Show Rulers. Once I have the rulers up, and I'm doing all of this with the selection tool, now look at where I'm doing. My mouse is going into the middle of this ruler, right into this area. It doesn't matter what portion of it, just that's in the middle. Click and drag, and look at that. I brought a little guide out. What am I doing with this guide is I'm going to drag it and put it in a place that really helps me. And in this case, I'm going to make a guideline right at the bottom of Uno so that when I put something down here, I know exactly where to put it. I'm going to put another one right at the top, right there. And this is something that needs to be done with so much care that you might want to zoom in to make sure that you put these guides exactly right. Because see, from afar, that wasn't exactly right. I can just grab it again and make sure that I put it exactly right. I might have left it right there had I not zoomed in. So right there. Now I'm going to bring another guide right here and another one right there. It's really important when you're doing text or any kind, a lot of the design works with us having our lines be really exact for things to work. So now that I've separated these, I can grab the U and bring it down here. And I know that I can make it go perfectly well. Then the question is, how do I know that it's matching the N? Well, again, I can either put guidelines there. And so I come over here to the left and draw in a guideline right along the N. Or option B, if you really trust the smart guides, notice that when I get right to the right spot, there's that's right there. See that pink guide that's telling me that the U and the N above it are perfectly centered, and the pink guide on the right telling me that the U and the centered. So if you don't want to pull out all these special guides, then you just have to trust the pink lines, which when you know where to look at them, they're called smart guides for some reason. They are really helpful, and it's basically telling me that isn't the exact spot that I want it. Does that make sense? I'm going to stop and ask if you have any questions before I continue.
When I go to object to shape to convert shape, I get a little error message on the screen that says object not converted.
Yeah, so it's not convert shape, it's create outlines.
Uh,
So you go to type,
Create outline.
create outlines. So you select your type first. I don't have type anymore, so it's not coming up. Type and then create outlines. Anyone else who has a question or something before I continue? Did that work, Rhonda?
I think so.
Okay. So let's pay a little bit of attention to what's happening here in case some of you guys are, I'm sure some of you guys already moved a bit further. So the E and the R, all of these will stay where they are, but here we're gonna have to expand the O to fit that empty space. So that's gonna actually have to be modifying the letter. The U didn't have to be modified, but the M is gonna have to be modified. And also, we're gonna have to bring these two in because we've taken out the space of the U. Okay, so it's not much modifying, but it's a beginning. So let's look over here. And what I mean by that is that we're gonna have to have this space taken up. So we can select these two and then drag them over. Now, it's gonna be hard to know where to put it, right? Because right now, when I drag it over, it doesn't really tell me where to stop. I'm gonna Command Z. And when I did this, I also selected the guide, so they were moving with me. So I'd first select, click shift, and then if I move, the guides don't move. See, they still become guides. So now when I approach, it's hard to tell where to stop, right? Because how far am I gonna put it? How far was this? So one thing you can do is take one of, these are 4 objects in the end, right? Right now, separated by a same amount of space there from there. So what you can do is select, do it by eyesight, or select each one of these objects. I'm going to select 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what I can try and do is have these guys align, distribute. Oh, you know what? But this is already set at a place where it has the size it wants. So distribute won't work. Now I'm really going to have to create this myself by eyesight. That's interesting. I was going to show you distribute, but let me show you what's going to happen if I distribute, which is not what I wanted. If I select these 4 and distribute, which is what I was going to do here, then they're going to distribute evenly. See, they give me the right size, but then they move out of where they were. They give me that same distance between each one, but they move out from there where that's what won't work. So basically what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to click on this and drag it and hope that I put it in the right place. Or in this case, see those, the guides that are showing up right now, those 2 little pink double-headed arrows. See that there? What that's telling me is that Illustrator is, those pink smart guides are telling me this has the same distance between the N and the M, the number that you're putting in there. Right? So we know that that works. Like it's hard to point out. If I had in real life, I would have a ruler and a light to show you, but that space and that space were equidistant from that where the N used to be. So if you learn to use these guides comfortably, so select, click, shift, and shift. And when you move it over, when you see those two lines, now it's showing up in the bottom, but it's that same idea. It's showing up. It's basically, I can't let go because the moment I let go to point with my mouse, it disappears. But it's telling me that the distance between the N and the M is now identical. Like here, it's not, there's the N is near to the N, then to the M, and over here, the M is near to the M, then to the N, but right there is telling me that it's the same. So when I let go right there, I can be sure that this now has an equivalent spot. Now, to my eyesight, I don't know to yours, but this seems bigger than that. Doesn't it seem bigger to you? This here seems bigger than that. So all we can do is I'm going to get, I mean, I could measure it precisely, or I can get a bit closer and I can just move it over myself and try to match it. I'm going to move with the arrow key. I can nudge things over. So the arrow keys on my keyboard, I can nudge slowly, 1 tick, 2 ticks, and that kind of seems to do it. Now that space and that space seem to be in the same distance. Before it was left. Now the
Vienna.
E has a bit left space. Yeah, maybe one more. No, one less. Yes, what's that?
How do you select the N and the U without the guide?
Without the guides, yeah. I select the object, hold down shift and select the other object.
Oh, I
That way I don't move the guides. I could also choose to lock the guides. If you have guides that really have a reason to be in their spot, you can go up here to view, show guides and lock guides. Yeah. And if you lock guides, then you can select and move anything without worrying about the guides having been selected. Okay. But then when you want to move the guide, you're going to have to go in and lock them. Okay. So under view guides, by locking guides, you can ignore them. And then when you're ready to move them again, you can unlock the guides. Because now that I've locked them, now the option is to unlock. Now they're moving, right? And when I'm happy and want them to stay where they are, I'll go view guides and lock them. Right? So right now I've locked them, so I don't have to worry about them anymore. Okay, so now that we've moved this to where it should be, now we're left with having to modify the M and the O. The M is a little bit easier, so let's start with the M. Let's zoom in. Notice that whenever I want to zoom in quickly, I grab this hand tool or the Z and I just drag like a little box around that. And when I let go, it moves straight in there. Now that happens with my mouse. Some of you guys have your mouse set up that when you drag, it slowly zooms in. Some mice are set up differently. But that kind of works for me. All right. So if this is an object and I want to modify it, what tool do I need to use?
The shape tool?
No, the shape builder tool allowed me to join two different shapes and create a new one, but that's not,
Direct selection.
yeah. We're definitely gonna have to do this by hand. So we're gonna have to use the direct selection tool. Now, let me remind you, the direct selection tool was one that if I select and then select again, then I can grab that anchor and distort, right? But in this case, I don't want to distort. I want to be able to move. So how do I select and move this without making a mess? Because this is not going to be that easy to move correctly, right? So let me show you. You can select more than one of these. Up until now, I've shown you how to select one, but you could also hold down shift and select the other one. So now you select both of these, and then you can move them as a group because I've now moved two at the same time. If I can do two, I can also do four. So I can also hold down shift, select that one, and shift and select that one again. So now I've selected these four anchors, and now I can grab and stretch them out, but it's hard to keep them straight. So if you want to make sure to constrain it to stay straight, you can also hold down your shift key, and that forces the line to go up and down only straight. Like I'm trying to go sideways and I can't because I'm holding down the shift. The moment I let go of the shift, I can go sideways. But if I hold down the shift key, it stays straight. Then I go all the way down until I hit the guide and I let go, and that's my M. So I'm going to do that again. I select the selection key, the white direct selection key, select my shape, then click on one anchor, hold down shift, the other anchor, the other anchor, and the other anchor. So I've got 4 anchors, which then gives me those 2 paths. I can grab onto one of these paths, and when I start dragging down, I hold down the shift key, and then I keep going and keep going. When I hit that, I let go first of my mouse, then let go of the shift key. That way things don't, if I let go of my shift, things kind of move a little bit again. And now let me back up and see if that is the effect we were looking for. And I do believe it was. Let me back up a little bit more. And yeah, so there it was, that M became much longer. It's hard to see with these guides sometimes to really see what's happening. So the shortcut, oh, what's on the PC? The shortcut to not see the guides really quickly. Control and semicolon. So control semicolon. So I'm going to do that, control semicolon. So hide the guides and then control semicolon again to show them. You know, like when you want to have them there and see if it looks good, and then control semicolon again to see them. And now, given that, you can probably guess it's going to be relatively easy to do this one too. You select the O. Oh, this one is still grouped. You can, I hadn't ungrouped it yet. I can tell because I got the whole box. You need to go object, ungroup. Click away, select the O. And then I need to select a lot more. I need to select, in fact, watch what I'm about to do. Instead of clicking and selecting, shift, 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 I can just drag with the white selection key. Okay. I can just drag and grab everything that encompasses the top of this image. I had to select it first, sorry. I hadn't. Had I ungrouped it? Yeah. Oh, is this a compound?
I can't ungroup mine.
Yeah, it's a compound.
I
Let me
can't ungroup
see.
mine either.
It's a compound shape, that's why. See this? It says compound path. That little hole there, it's a compound path. It's one of those things where this has been knocked out. This is a box that has knocked out this shape. See there? So if I double click and double click and double click and double click, then I get into that isolation mode. So you need to do that with the regular. I don't think you can do that with the direct selection tool. Double click, double click. No, it doesn't. So you have to select it with when it converted into outlines. This was a simple shape, so it didn't need it. But when then there's a knockout, the convert to outlines created a compound path, which you see here. It says compound path. It's whenever there's so I'm going to select it with the direct selection tool and double click, double click, double click until I get into isolation mode. Once you're in isolation mode, then really I'm going to have to uncompound it. I don't think so. Let's see what happens. This is going to distort it. Or is it going to keep it? Yeah. So it's going to distort it. So I'm going to have to get rid of the compound part of it. Okay, so here's the deal. This shape, I want to keep that same angle, and notice that when I distort it up here, I could then grab this one and bring this one up too and make it simple, but see how the curves haven't kept to themselves. So I'm gonna make sure that this line ends at the same spot as this one. But these guys, their curves, it's not gonna work. So I'm gonna have, that's interesting, this compound shape thing. I'm gonna have, let me undo because this isn't gonna work. I'm gonna have to break it up. Undo this group again. Simplify. Here we go. Release compound path. Okay, I was looking for that. So I'm gonna click on this shape that's a compound path and say release compound path. I believe that the white box was underneath there. Nope. So let me undo release. Let me just test it again. Isolate selected compound path, simplify. I'm trying to see which one might be the best one. So here it's giving me choices for the curves. Not simplify, but isolate selected compound path. I don't like that this is, there's no, see what I don't like is that this shape doesn't seem to have, we're gonna have to fake it, which I was hoping not to. Okay, so basically I released the compound path, so now these are two separate shapes. Okay, so that's easy. This one will not be a problem. We'll be able to stretch it out and be as high as that. See, I'm waiting for that line, that big line that takes it to the same space as that R. Not worried about that one. I'm actually worried about this one where the moment I start to move it, the curve is changing, and I'm trying to figure out, because the path is not made out of anchors. I don't know how this one happened, so I know we can recreate it. I don't know why. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna trick it. Trying to think. Hold on. I'm gonna trick this. I'm gonna copy this up there to start with. So I have the same curves at the top, right? So I'm gonna move it up so that I did that copy with the Option or Alt key, okay? Then I'm gonna undo, not undo, but release compound path. No, it wasn't release, it was isolate compound path. Then I'm gonna drag this up so that it hides. No. I think the only way to do this is to fake it, but I don't want to fake it. And the reason I'm saying fake it is because it's so easy to create two lines and a box to go right over this and fake it, but I was trying to do it the right way. I'm not really finding the right way to do it right now. Let me show you what I mean. I don't know, again, I don't know. Yeah, it might be that it's doing the thing where it doesn't want to work for me because it's this VDI. Right now, what I meant by fake it is I can create, right, two shapes to cover this. And then I can put in a white box right here. So this is what I meant by fake, just basically creating two yellow boxes and one white box. So I just faked it, so to say. You know what I mean? So it looks fine, but this wasn't my original intention. My original intention was to modify the O. So be the same result, but I faked it because what I did is I made two and I added these three boxes and I was trying to modify the letter. Did someone say it worked for them? Vanessa, can you show me? Because I don't know if it's my VDI that again is refusing to do what I'm asking it to do. Can you share your screen and show us yours?
Yeah.
Otherwise, go ahead and fake it like I did, but I was hoping to do it as a modifying the letter. Okay, so if you select your letter, and can you do Command Z a few times or Control Z a few times and have it just undo?
Yeah.
Okay, so you did.
So I selected my shape. I
Uh-huh.
went to the direct selection tool.
Selected the
I
top.
selected just this top part.
Yeah, this is what I first showed you,
And
and
then now I pull on the anchor and
it moved up and you hold. So that was what I was trying to do from the beginning, but it wasn't letting me do it. So what she just demonstrated, do it again slowly, because that's what I was
Yeah.
trying to show you, right? Like I did with the M, select the top set and move it up. But in
So
my
I'm on
case, it
my-
wasn't letting me.
I'm on my selection tool. I select the O. I go back to the tools and get the direct selection tool. I create this.
And let me just say what she's doing there is in order to avoid having to do click, shift, like on all 6 of those, you just drag a little net and it only selects those top 6 anchors.
Mhm.
And then you can drag either from an anchor or from a path, it doesn't matter. Drag up and then hold down the shift to keep it straight and wait for the intersection and let go. So that wasn't working for me. Is it not? If it maybe it worked for you guys. So since it didn't work for me, I had to kind of do my whole little workaround of faking it.
It's interesting that I feel like I'm either missing something or something's going on. When I try to isolate down to one letter, I can't do it. I can't ungroup it. I don't
Okay,
know.
let's
It's
go ahead
not
and share yours. Thank you
Alright.
so much. So what she
Yeah.
did there, that's how I was trying to
Good.
show it to you. But mine wasn't, but you're on your own version, right? Or are you on VDI?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, Vanessa, are you on
I'm on my own
VDI?
version. I'm on my own version.
No,
Me
Vanessa, you too. All
Oh,
right.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. So because mine wasn't letting me do it, but I don't know if it's because it's VDI or because it just wasn't. Matt, show me yours now and let's see what's
Okay.
happening.
All right. All right, here we are.
So
and-
you're still in, yours is still text. You have to first turn into objects. So go to type, create outlines. You haven't created outlines yet. That's why you
Oh,
can't.
I completely must have just go, okay.
Well, you did it to the top, but you didn't do it to
did.
the bottom one.
Yeah.
So go create outlines, type create outlines. Yep.
Okay,
And now go up to object and ungroup.
that was my problem, create outlines. Okay, I'm gonna write that down in my notes because I was writing notes down
That's
too.
the moment you
That's right.
destroy the fontness of it. That's the moment you turn it into a shape. So that, and then you ungroup.
So now
Click
I'm
away,
on-
click again. And now click on
And
the
now-
shape. And now with the white selection key, hopefully you can do the same thing Vanessa did. No,
uh,
white selection tool. Yeah, and now select that top set. And then move it up. Yeah, no, white selection tool. And yeah. Get those, yeah, and now grab and drag up. Okay, so it's working for you too. So it wasn't working for me, but it was working for you. Now, the only thing is that you moved your numero, the first part got moved, so it's all off.
Yeah.
See how
yeah,
the E
don't
and the
mess
R?
it up.
So you got to select all your reddish or burgundy or whatever those colors are,
Can I do
or
this?
select that. Yeah, but I would recommend instead of doing it one by one to make more accurately, you would select all at the same time. Now you'll have to guess that space. Whereas
Oh,
had you
right.
done it one by one, you wouldn't have to guess the space. Like had you done it all together, it would
I-
have come. So
I
go
know.
ahead and
I
undo
probably-
3 times and then select all 3 of the yellow ones together. So click, click, click. Or drag all the way. And then now when you move them to the left, when the U and the N fall in place, the O will fall in place too. So wait until you see like one of the, you didn't get any guides.
No, well, I was doing command left arrow
Mhm.
to move it, but here, I'll,
You know what? Yeah, you and your N, something got shifted there because your N and your,
I must have been.
maybe
free-
the R, yeah, maybe your R, something got stretched a bit more. Let's see how you and your ends aren't falling right exactly under.
Let me get a better overview.
So at some point, something got stretched
Right to the eye. it
in
looks
or
like.
out because
Yeah,
the E
something
and
got
the,
stretched.
and
That's- I
so something got, maybe your R,
I can work on that, or the E and the R are moved over.
something got moved or your N got stretched, anything, something got stretched out of place, but it's not that. Yeah,
No?
yeah, we'll try that. Try and,
Oops.
no, careful.
What did I do?
Yeah, you're doing that with the option and you're making like doubles of them.
Yeah,
You're making doubles and triples. Stop using the option. Now you have double, get
Yeah.
rid, yeah, delete that, hit delete.
I command Z to everything,
Yeah,
but,
and collect, delete, you have copies there, hit delete.
Okay.
You got a ton of, you must have been holding down the option key each time you pressed, yeah, that looks like that's the last one. Yeah, and the ends also. Okay, now you can move it. See how your R is wider is what I'm trying to say. Your R got stretched or something because, or your N, or maybe your N got scrunched in. One of the two got off.
Okay.
Widen them or delete them, but you got the idea. I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop your sharing in case while you
Okay.
fix that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try one more time to see if I don't do it the fake way that I did. So I'm going to select everything. Oh, I'm gonna share. Anyone else needs to share? Ask me a question
yeah.
if it is or isn't working for you. Yeah.
I did something funny and I don't know where I am on the screen.
Okay.
Oh,
All
there.
right.
Okay, I got it. But I missed how to make a guide.
All right. So did you turn on your rulers?
Yeah, the rulers are on.
Okay. So once your rulers are on, put your mouse. Let me just share my screen. Oh, wow. It's pouring rain again. Is it for you guys?
It was just pouring rain here about 5 or 7 minutes ago, pounding, hail. It was
Yeah.
huge.
We had
It just got to me. It is pound. It is just, wow. Okay. That's fun. I don't know where you guys are, but it just arrived here and it's just whew,
Basically off a turnpike here.
down by the college and down on the east side. Okay. So this real time thing is interesting because you can all see the path of the storm. All right. So basically, once you turn on your rulers, put your mouse in that black little bit, like the tip of your mouse, and then just drag, and then you'll see you pull out a ruler. Now, right now, I have mine hidden because I was so you're not seeing them, but if you pull out and drag, then you'll bring one in.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I
Hey,
tried
Deanna?
again. Yes.
I cannot get the multiple select for the M, so I can drag them all at once. I mean, I can definitely do like each leg at a time.
Okay.
But how do
So,
I?
I'm
Can you
gonna
share?
stop sharing. I kept trying to do it. Mine is definitely not wanting to do the right thing. So share your screen.
Here, let's see. So I selected the shape first. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I go to the selection
Yeah.
tool.
And then select
So I
that.
click, that's the answer. And then do I click it again?
Click it one time yet. So that it's, yeah, now go to, wait, it
And
didn't
shift.
click. No, click one more time. No, it didn't stay clicked. It needs to change color. Yeah. Huh. You click in it. Okay. Yeah, it is full. It's full colored. It's fine. Now go
Full
to the next
color.
one. Hold on.
Okay.
Click on
Shift.
shift. And then click on that one. And then click on that one. And now you can let go of the shift. Yeah.
let go of the shift.
Yeah, because you're done. You
All
selected
right.
everything you need. Now grab from there, just the little, just the edge, like the line. Yeah, there, click.
But there's nothing that I can try, I guess. Oh, here.
Oh,
why
it
is-
looks like, no, look at, stop, don't let go of your mouse. But notice that the
I'll
tip of your,
Control
okay,
Z.
Control Z, yes, but I wanted to show you something. The tip of your mouse was touching the fill. It wasn't on the
I
path.
see.
So either that or go right click on one of the arrows. Yeah, on one of the
I need to
anchors.
make it maybe bigger.
Yeah, but you'll have a hard time knowing where to go. You'll have a hard
Yeah.
time knowing where to go. So click there and drag now, yeah?
Shift.
No, you already had them selected. Now you, okay, now
Oh,
you
now I
deselected.
lost them.
Yeah.
Now
Go
I
ahead
lost
and
them.
go ahead and try and click and drag across the bottom of that leg. See if you just click on the empty background. Instead of doing the shift, it's easier. Click there. No,
Look here.
move your mouse a bit to the left so that it's on the outside, and now click and drag a little net across the bottom of the leg. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mom,
I can.
know
When I do that,
There
it
you
moves
go.
for me.
Okay, now hold the shift and do it to the other bottom of the other leg.
Shift.
Yeah, so now you got your 4. Now the question for you is to go back and put the tip there, yeah, and click and drag down. There you go.
Hey, Mom,
All right. Thank you.
I know you're in the middle of a class, but you have got to come out to that studio.
Okay.
Can you just like take a 3-minute break? You gotta go
I
now.
know, I know.
No. Do it.
Hold
Come on.
on, hold on. It's class
Sorry,
is over.
she
Class
has
is
to
over.
go. Now what?
Okay,
The
All right.
hail is huge.
the hail is huge. So give me a second while you guys formulate your questions. I'll go see and I'll be back because you
Okay.
won't let me.
Go, go, go.
Can anyone explain to me while she's away, how
Okay,
to separate the letters?
sorry about that, but you guys, it's crazy. It's like snow. Look at my backyard. See that?
No, we cannot
Hold
see
on.
it.
Your blur mode is
Blur.
Ugh, let me. Okay, you can't see it. It's white. It's like snow. My backyard is white.
Wow.
Amazing. Everything is covered in white. The hail. I don't know if you guys, it's happening over there, but it's truly white. See that? That's not
Wow.
snow. That's hail.
Neighborhood
Around my
like
do you,
garden bench.
what neighborhood do you live in?
I'm on the east side. Wow, I told you guys it was falling hard, but that's why it sounded so bad. There you go. It's pure snow. It's crazy. Anyway. So,
Say,
Uh,
before, I know we're wrapping up and
yeah,
before, the thing that I'd forgotten to do with the font, first I did type, create outlines, and then
Mhm.
I did something else and then I ungrouped. What was that second thing I did with a font?
you'll have to share with me again because I don't know.
No, well, I'm
So
not.
you ungroup, no, well, first okay. First you select the text and you do create outlines.
Yes.
Then you have to ungroup. And then you need to click away and click back to just click one letter. Okay,
Okay.
because otherwise. Yeah,
Thank you. I thought there was something else I did.
no, and then you just need to use your direct outline to select whatever it is that you're gonna select. My
Excuse me.
son, yes,
Could you repeat that again? I was having the same concern. You might answer my question. So
okay,
first, when I have a word, numero, whatever, and
yeah. So,
first step is to create an outline.
yeah, I'm gonna share my screen one more time. So this is still text, okay? I just moved over to the first page where it's still text. So it's text. You select the text, right? You go to type, create outlines. And that's it. That's the moment when it stopped being a shape. Now that's a group. So you need to go to object, ungroup.
Thank you.
And then that's it. Then you can select and move and do whatever you want. And what we chose to do was to sub-select the little bits and to stretch them out. Okay. And that was what we chose, what our steps were. All right. Anything else, you guys?
I think we've had a lot of excitement.
I know.
Yes.
It's so funny. My son he won a phone. He won the Ultra Max Super Duper Best Galaxy yada yada $1,200 phone
Wow.
2 weeks ago on a contest. Well, does anyone watch Jimmy Fallon? We don't necessarily watch Jimmy Fallon, but if you do in the next week or so, you might see his movie on Jimmy Fallon, because Jimmy Fallon had a contest where people had to submit a sample of their work, and of the thousands that submitted, they chose 10 people, and those 10 people, one of them was my son, and they sent him the bestest ever, newest yada yada phone, and it's a promotion for their phone. And it's amazing. And he had to film a 1-minute movie with the phone and send it back. And of those 10 movies, they're going to choose 5 to show. So we don't know yet if they've chosen his, but his is awesome.
And this is your son
And
that did so well at the film
yeah, he's my
at
10,
the,
10,
at the
10.
Arlington Theater. Yeah, I went to that. That was very cool.
Yeah, so he let me show you. Hold on. Since it's already late, you all can leave if you want, but I'll show you just because it's so cool. Give
Great.
me a second. If you want to stay, I'm going to show you the video. There's the video that one second. Here's the video that he submitted.
How old is your son now? He was 17 about 2 years ago,
No,
wasn't
2 years ago, he was 15. He was a
Oh.
sophomore. He's a senior now.
he?
He's
Oh,
a
God, he was so
senior
young
now.
when he
I
did-
know, when he did that, he was so young. It's pretty amazing.
didn't
Trying to
realize.
find the link. Why can't I not find the link to his video really quickly? I want to show it to you guys. You don't have to stay for this, for anyone who wants to see it. Since
It's my evening entertainment now, so.
I know, since Matt went
Might
to see
well.
him. Okay, so you guys are gonna see a premiere here, because this is the video that did I show you the Potter? I have to, it's so funny, I can't see the original link. I'm gonna have to go to my Facebook page. Give me a second here. Actually, I'm gonna stop recording.